2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Try to come up around 10 on the clock. Live from Joe Yenny Stadium in Metairie, Louisiana, Crescent City Sports is proud to bring you high school football. We've got a good one for you this evening in week 2 of the regular season as the Newman Greenies take on the Bonnabel Bruins. Hi again, everybody. Lenny Van Gilder along with Wade Kaiser here to bring you the action of what should be an interesting matchup this evening, Wade. I mean, you look and you see a 2A school against a 5A school right off the bat, and maybe that doesn't suggest some things, but obviously Newman's a very talented, tradition-rich program, got to the Division III semifinals a year ago. This is a Bonnabel program that's trying to, get things back going under Brent Bonifant. So those things considered, it should be a pretty good matchup. Before we even talk about the two quarterbacks playing this evening, just based on that, it should be a good matchup.
Right. You got athletes. You know, Bonnabel has some nice young athletes out at their wide receiver positions. They have a couple really nice athletes in their secondary, a couple nice-looking offensive linemen that add some size to them. They have some depth. Their numbers are pretty good. And the Newman's Newman. You know, every year they're a fixture somewhere on that playoff bracket. And, past 2 years getting to the semifinals of Division III, they're traditionally one step away.
Well, you've got two quarterbacks this evening. Let's start with the homestanding Bonnabel Bruins and the senior Torrance Bardell. And one of the things that, in talking to Brett Bonifant this week, that he immediately drove home to me is the fact that this is the first time that Bonnabel has had a player get a Division I offer in a very long time, probably since before Hurricane Katrina. Bardell is a very talented guy who has an offer to the United States Naval Academy. Kind of still taking in the process as a senior here, but he is a guy who no doubt can do things with his arm and with his legs, and it'll be interesting to watch him for the first time this evening.
No, if Navy's offered him, they got to know that the cat can play. All right,
Yeah.
Meaning that he can do the things with his legs he needs to do. And then, of course, we've seen him the past couple of weeks throw the ball real well, so we know he has an arm. Last year he threw for 1,843 yards, so we know he can get the ball down the field.
Be interesting to see. Now, on the other side, one of the early stories of the year in high school football in the New Orleans area is a freshman for Newman at quarterback who happens to have the last name of Manning. It is Archie's grandson. It is Cooper's son, Arch Manning, who has, when you talk to Nelson Stewart a few months before the season, it was a situation where, we'll probably just kind of ease him into things and, we'll see how things go. Well, he has jumped in and become the starter from day one of his freshman year, and by all accounts has been outstanding, and I'm really anxious to see what he can do here this evening.
Well, I saw him warming up during pregame down there, and it was eerie. I mean, he looked like his two uncles throwing the football. His height, his ranginess, and I'm sitting there. If I wouldn't have known better, I was looking at Peyton or Eli. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to coach against Eli. So yeah, the Manning name is going to bring a lot of attention to who's going to be, that starting quarterback. Nelson Stewart said he won the job, in flat hands down. And if he's the better guy and he's the guy that's going to lead the offense, then you've got to play him whether he's a freshman or not.
Right, and they had a senior coming back who was their backup a year ago behind their starter who departed for Georgetown, and of course now I'm blanking out on that, but it's. We saw those guys many times last year. Martin Butcher. Butcher was terrific. Bo Adams got a little bit of action as the backup. He was, the guy who was competing with Arch for the job. And he's a good athlete. He's on the field now as a wide receiver. Now, if something were to happen to Arch, perhaps he can go back to quarterback, whatever the case may be. But look, it's obviously a situation that Arch Manning has done enough to earn this spot here as we get ready to go as the Greenies take the field.
Lenny, one last thought on that. And I haven't coached from single A football all the way up to 5A football. Newman being a double A team, you find a spot for your good athletes. So it was no doubt, like Nelson Stewart said, he was going to find a spot for Bo Adams. It might not have been a quarterback, but Bo Adams is a fine athlete, and he's a very fine wide receiver. And they still give him reps at quarterback because, you're always one play away. And good coach as Nelson Stewart is, you've got to be able to double up your athletes, especially at the double A level, to make sure that you have some depth.
And the Bonnabel Bruins, the home team this evening, decked out in all gold, take the field. Kind of like that look, Wade. It's different. It's all look. It's a hot night.
Right.
You probably don't want to be out there in black jerseys and black pants on a 90-plus degree evening, and it's a good look for the Bruins this evening.
It's a crisp look. It's like the gold on gold. It's with the white helmet. It's very trim and crisp.
Yeah, Newman in their traditional all white helmet, white jerseys, white pants, as we get set for the captains to meet at the center of the field. This is, I like the fact that you see schools like this getting together in non-district games. It's, it would be easy to say, okay, Newman's now out of Country Day's district, but they're going to play Country Day in a couple of weeks, and those are the easy games to be able to schedule, I guess. But when sometimes it's hard to assemble a non-district schedule, especially when some of these districts now only have 4 teams. You got to play 7 non-district games. But I like matchups like this where you're playing against schools with bigger numbers if you're Nelson Stewart and bigger players in some cases, and it helps you from a power rating perspective because you get those power points for playing up against a 5A school.
Well, it's not just the power ratings from playing up. It's also the power ratings from collecting those number of extra wins that goes on to the backside of the power rating. And that's a great thing for Brett Bonifants. Brett Bonifants knows that Newman's going to collect a bunch of those wins as the season goes through. And, the biggest thing is in building his program, he also wants to be able to play teams who are established programs so he can look at what it takes to get to that point and teach his kids those sort of things.
And you look at the schedule he's played thus far.
Right.
Jesuit in the Jamboree and Destrehan in week 1. So it's he's taking on all comers out there, and that's that's how you get better, by playing better people along the way. So.
Well, the kids take note of that. Also, the kids in the school take note of that, and it builds some sort of pride in there. And Britt Bonifants has done a great job, and he's going to end up picking up a few of those wins against some of those storied programs as the season goes on.
Well, we're going to get a look at the Bonnabel offense first. The Bruins won the toss. They elected to take the football. So we will see the Bonnabel offense with Torrance Bardell operating behind center to get things going. We'll have to wait just a little bit to see Arch Manning and the Newman Greenies. So nice night, little warm as it continues to be, but I think you take the warmth and the dryness over the what seems like this time of year. There's always a chance of rain. We haven't had much of that as it were at here in the first couple of weeks of the high school season.
Well, and that's a good thing. I always said I'm going to take that heat all the time. I just didn't want the rain. Even though the heat on the turf, which is what we're playing on tonight, can be extremely tough on a player.
We're going to pause and honor America with the playing of our Star Spangled Banner here from Joe Yenny Stadium. Our national anthem from Joe Yenny Stadium here in Metairie. Our officiating crew going over some final instructions at the center of the field. Michael McClendon is our referee tonight. Matt Bird, the umpire. Steven Strohmeyer, the headlinesman. Gary Flesher, the field judge. Felton Bradley, the back judge. David Sanchez is the field judge. Charles Moore is the side judge this evening. So Newman will kick it off right to left to get things going here tonight. That'll be Duane Nichols, who's back deep for Bonnabel. He'll be their starting running back. Operate out of a spread formation offensively, as you'll see, with one back, four receivers. Actually, it's going to be Kendrick Eugene in the center of that deep formation, three men across. We were talking about that last week. You see a guy listed as an athlete on a roster, you know he's something special. They're going to play him at safety primarily, but of course he's back on kicks here.
You know, again, if he's listed as an athlete, I'm sure they'll bring him in and can use him at any skill position on offense.
Right.
It's kind of like that guy that wears the number 7 over there for the Saints. I mean, I'm sure that guy could
if they would allow you to list athlete as well, then again, if
Exactly.
you did that, you couldn't wear 7. I guess that's why they list him as a quarterback.
Right. But I'm sure he could go over and make a tackle on
I
defense.
think he could, based on what we see him do on special teams.
Correct.
Will Hardy, the junior, will handle the kicking duties for Newman. Got a little bit of a delay here. I'm not sure what is going on. If there's some issue, maybe chain crew wise. I'm trying to see what's. Maybe we only have one
missing.
Maybe somebody holding the down marker. I'm not sure.
They're missing a representative from Newman to put on their chains.
Okay.
You've got two.
Nelson Stewart is
You've got
looking
two, right?
Yeah, looking around to see. Hey, what do we need somebody down here. He's trying to get somebody in place. So that's gives us a little bit of a delay and a chance to.
We'll get Archie
get ready
down.
for.
Is Archie here? Get him down there on the chains. He'll do it.
I'm sure there's a few members of the Manning family over there on the far side.
Well, where's Cooper? He could do that too.
It's one of those guys. They want to lay low. And that's one thing. It gives us a sec. I talked to Cooper. I've talked to Peyton, and I talked to Archie, and just kind of thoughts on Arch getting a chance to play here this year. And to a man, it was, hey, let's just let him be a 9th grader, which
Absolutely.
I think is, and look, that's, we're talking about, 14-year-old kids out there, let them be 9th graders.
Let them grow
and let's see what happens.
Well, let him grow into it. But if you're going to win the position, then knowing the kid, he's going to be competitive. He's all excited about getting the opportunity. And you're right about Archie and Cooper and Olivia and all the Manning family just kind of.
All right, so here we go. Pooch kick. No one is there. Is a Bonnabel player going to come up? Yes, he is. The ball is loose, and it is fallen on by, I think, a Bruin at the 22-yard line. They just found a spot, a gap in that formation, tried to drop it in there, and very nearly came up with the football, but Bonnabel will come away with it to get things started. So some excitement there at the outset. It was Bishop Lynch, the senior defensive back on special teams, who came away with the football. So the Bruins start at the 22, 1st and 10. We talked about that athlete. That's Eugene actually taking the opening snap there at quarterback. And it's a design run all the way. Eugene off the right side will get about 3.
Well,
now I know that I was going to mention that Bardell did get a little banged up last week against Destrehan, and so I think they're probably going to spot him a little bit this evening. If 100% Bardell, you'd probably see 100% of the time, but there gives him a chance to maybe change things up.
Well, you're going to get banged up against Destrehan a little bit, but it's nice when you do have an athlete, and I talked about it at the beginning of the show, that they do have those sprinkled throughout their roster.
A bunch formation here. They'll give it away on the jet sweep, and that is Chris Toller, one of the wide receivers, getting about a yard on that one, yard and a half, and it's going to be 3rd and 6.
John Hooger, the outside linebacker, did a great job at that time, trailing from behind the play to drag him down, and also setting the edge out there for Newman was number 44, the defensive end, James Dowling, on that speed sweep. Did a nice job coming up and trying to get back inside to his pursuit.
We have movement. The question is, who initiated? Was it the defense moving first across, or was it the right tackle that moved? It'll be a false start against the Bruins.
Now remember, a little bit different in high school. That defensive lineman can kind of jump and flinch as long as he doesn't get in that neutral zone. But if that offensive lineman moves, it's going to go against those guys every time.
Right. Line to gain is the 32-yard line. It's 3rd and long for the Bruins, who operate with a single setback alongside Bardell. who will drop the throw. He's got pressure. He's got nowhere to go with it and has to just throw it out of bounds. And it'll be 4th down.
Newman applies some quick pressure right there. They bring 2 of the linebackers and just pop clean. Nobody picks up the linebackers on the blitz, and Bardell's running for his life. He's just got to get rid of it and toss it out and live to play another down.
All right, so it's 4th and 11 here at the 21-yard line. Newman will have a pair of safeties in there to try to handle this punt. It's Scott and Kerner who are deep with, it's like Chris Torres, 36, will be handling the punting duties for the Bruins. That is over his head, and that is going to go out of the end zone for a safety. And just like that, 1 minute and 40 seconds in, it is 2-0 Newman.
That's tough. You're starting in the hole right there. Now you got to kick the ball back to him offensively, and you're already down 2-0 on the scoreboard. Just sailed it. I don't think a guy that would be 7 foot could have jumped up and got that ball.
What was Bob Uecker's line in Major League 2? Unless that Shaquille O'Neal and left, that's out of here.
Yeah.
That's
I was thinking that's a little bit outside. That's a little too high.
Right. Yeah.
That's a little
it was
too
a home.
high.
It was going to be a fly ball, and it's
right. I mean, nobody was getting that. It was just sailed over his head. So,
So not the way you want to start
No.
if you're the Bruins, but
no.
now at least you're going to kick away here, and it looks like now they're going to put it on the tee, and it will still be Torres handling those duties.
Well, you get the option. We all know. You get the option with a free kick. After the safety, you can either tee it and kick it, or you can punt it. Bonnabel elects to tee it. Most high school teams do.
Kick will come from the 20. Now we get the ready for play. And a good kick. Back to about the 32-yard line, and this is Kerner. Out to about the 46, and that's where Newman will begin the first offensive possession of the night.
Nice tackle on that coverage right there by Chris Taylor. Wide receiver getting down there on special teams, making a nice tackle on corner.
So it's our first look at Arch Manning. Last week against Lusher, 22 out of 34, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
He's got a nice little group around him. He's got some nice wide receivers. He has a really solid running back in Pleasant that he can hand the ball off to, and he's got a decent offensive line in front of him that's kind of growing into their own.
Play action on first down, and he'll take a shot down the field towards Sutherland. He's got it in stride, and he will score. 54 yards on the first play from scrimmage. That is Manning to Sutherland. And Sutherland, by the way, we didn't even get a chance to tell you, he is wearing number 10 tonight because his white number 1 got messed up along the way. So he, an interesting story, a year ago, number 10 was, as we take another look at the replay, Wade, go ahead.
I'll tell you what, look at the protection. Holds up real nice. Manning just steps, releases it. Does he look like somebody throwing the football at that age? Wow, look how it's on the dime right there. Sutherland just runs a straight streak route, go route, and he gets on top of the corner, and then the rest is history.
So now a chance to make it 9-0. Kick is on the way, and it is good by Will Hardy. So that play took 9 seconds. I guess it was a 17-second drive to be exact. So to finish the story there, talking about what the reason that Sutherland is wearing number 10 instead of number 1. Yeah, the 1 has to be replaced. Now, Murray Calhoun wore 10 last year and is also Sutherland's close friend. When this was interesting to me. I mean, you've heard of numbers getting retired and stuff like that.
Right.
Newman, with their better players and stuff, depending on what they do, I guess, they will give numbers what they call a year of rest. let it sit out for a year before they bring it back into circulation, if you will. Well, he called when realized his white one wasn't available tonight. He called Murray Calhoun, said, "Hey, can I wear 10 tonight?" And he got his blessing. So he'll wear one the rest of the way, but tonight he's wearing 10.
Okay, there you go. Well, and it's in honor of his friend, too. So
sure.
It was a very nice gesture on Calhoun's part.
No doubt. Now, they've got two kickers in their formation here with Hardy and with Cole Harrington on either side of the ball. So they could do a lot of things here because they've got that luxury, if you will. Now, this one's going deep, and that is going to go through the end zone for a touchback. Well struck there. So Bonnabel will take over for its second possession now with 10:03 remaining in the first quarter.
What's great, Hardy's a linebacker. I like linebackers that can kick. It's awesome. That's the greatest thing about high school football. It's just, well, I'm going to kick off, and now I'm going to go out and play linebacker.
You see offensive linemen kicking sometimes.
It's awesome.
You're right. It's great when you got a specialist, but it's a lot of fun to watch some of those big guys kick as well.
You've got nobody out here covering the number 2 receiver.
Or for that matter, number 3. There's trips to now one linebacker will slide, and there's another man deep in the formation. Now let's see if they adjust the play call based on how Newman is lined up defensively here on 1st and 10 from the 20. Quick pass, and indeed they go that way, and that is complete for a first down and a gain of about 17. And that was Chris Toller, the senior, on the reception.
Well, he had his pick of either the number 3 receiver or number 2 receiver, just running a quick slant or quick hitch route right there. Nobody was walked out on the number 2 or number 3. Newman's going to have to make an adjustment. We're playing with a too high secondary into trips like that. You're going to have to invert somebody or walk somebody out of the box to at least split the difference between the 2 and 3 receiver.
From the 37. Motion, and they will give it away on the sweep that time, and that was well defended by John Huger, the linebacker, 6 foot, 185-pound senior. Makes the tackle for loss, and it's going to be 2nd and long for the Bruins.
Good look at it on the replay. You'll see Huger at the top of your screen right there on the jet sweep. Nobody touches him right there. The jet sweep really didn't develop. You want to leave the last guy on the line of scrimmage unblocked, which they did, but the jet sweep's timing was off, which if it would have been on time, the guy at the end of the line of scrimmage wouldn't even be able to get his hands on that. But it just wasn't executed real well. Again, they've got the 2 and 3 receiver wide open at the bottom of your screen.
This time they'll run a little shovel pass, and that was Toller again on the catch. Gain of 4. It'll be 3rd and 12.
You've got to be able to see that, look over and check into something like that. Just check into some sort of hitch route or throw the ball out there real fast once you get your hands on it and just let them run.
So the line to make here is the 47-yard line. And again, trips to the bottom of your screen for the Bruins.
A little bit better defended. They walked the outside linebacker out into about a midway position between 2 and 3.
Quarterback escapes from the pocket there as pressure was collapsing, and it'll basically end up being no gain. And what it seems like Newman is doing here early on, Wade, is they're just trying to outnumber him in the box to be able to get home and not give him time to be able to make those decisions.
Well, outnumber him in the box at the snap, but that's got to be something pre-snap. He's got to see where he can just catch it and throw it. But I tell you what, I'm impressed with Newman is what they're doing on their flank. They're able to use their team speed defensively and not get outrun on the flank by the Bonnabel quick receivers on the jet sweeps and the shuttle passes and things that they've been doing.
All right, so here we go. Second try at a punt here. This snap bounces in there a little bit, but they will get it away. Not going to be a great kick. It's going to roll towards the near sideline here and down at the 45-yard line, and that is where the Greenies will take over.
A lot of pressure on that punt right there. He got it off, even though it was shanked a little bit with not much on it. It could have possibly been tipped by somebody that got some pressure on back there in the back of the formation.
Gives us a chance to remind you to Crescent City Sports Prep Football, brought to you by Gills Bar. For more than half a century, offering services, solutions, and support for businesses and associations looking for happier constituents and healthier bottom lines. and headquartered on the North Shore. To learn more on how Gills Bar can help your business, visit gillsbar.com. So we've seen all of one play from Arch Manning here. This time he will give it away to Pleasant, the running back, who will gain 1.
That was number 11.
Oh, check that. That was was that 11 on the carry or on the tackle? I'm sorry, was it?
There was 11 on the tackle.
Okay.
Keelan Bardell.
Yeah, that was okay, and that was Pleasant. Yeah.
Correct. That was Pleasant on the run, Bardell on the tackle. I wonder if that's the brother of Torrance.
Play action. Manning will roll. Look to go back this way. Now he'll flip it out there. Got a man open, and getting the first down is the tight end James Downing. Right at the sticks at the 35-yard line.
How do you like that?
A little improvisation there, huh?
A little improvisation. Look at the replay here. He sprints to his right. Bonnabel's applying pressure. They pull him up. Let's make something happen here. You got to like that. Young freshman right there making something happen. No fear. No fear. No big eyes. Nothing's too big. The game isn't too fast. I can handle it.
So, injury, it appears, right where the chains have to go. There's an injured Newman player right there on the right of the sideline. That was actually the pass catcher Downing, who will limp off with some assistance back towards the Newman bench on the far side. Give everybody a chance to catch their breath. Of course, we're still in September, so we will have hydration breaks coming up at the 6-minute mark. And moving up front, this is going to be against the Bruins. And Newman will play a first on 5.
Now this is take a shot down. Right here. Don't be surprised Newman then just takes a shot right here at 1st and 5.
2 receivers to each side. Manning will indeed take a shot towards the end zone. Tried to hit Sutherland, but overshot it, and it'll be 2nd and 5.
Just a little bit too much mustard on that football right there. But that's where you take a shot. You got you've got 4 downs to get 5 yards. You're probably in 4-down territory. So let's just waste one right here and see what we can do. And he just had put a little bit too much juice on the ball. But right there that time, Jonathan Brock from Bonnabel did a nice job staying on top of the receiver, Sutherland.
Talk about Brock some more later. What a terrific catch there as Manning fired one there to Bo Adams, and that'll be a first down. Gain of about 10.
Real quick pitch and catch right there off of the quick route, the quick slant. Manning catches the ball, unloads it, and gets rid of it real fast. Great route right there to get open. Great set of hands right there by Bo Adams.
Of course, Arch's dad, Cooper, was a wide receiver when he played. Put up great numbers as a senior at Newman. He was a senior when Peyton was a sophomore. Arch handles the high snap, hits Sutherland on a slant, still running inside the 10-yard line. Let's see where they spot this thing, Wade. It looks like on the far side they're coming in right at about the 10-yard line at the sticks. And if that's the case, it'll be 1st and goal.
If you're able to get into your route, and Bonnabel's pressing them right off of the start right there, so they're getting off the man coverage real easy to develop that picture-perfect jersey for Manning to hit right in the chest with the ball.
Flags before this one can get going, and it's against the Greenies.
You can tell how also very well coached that the Newman receivers are. They're able to get off the press real well, to be able to get the defensive back in a trail position behind him, which gives the quarterback that jersey or that open look and that open window to be able to drill the ball on that quick passing game like they've done on the past 2 pass plays.
So from the 15, and clock will get to the 6-minute mark for the hydration break, and let's take it with them, Wade. 5:58 remaining here in the first quarter with your score, Newman 9 and Bonnabel nothing. You are watching high school football from Crescent City Sports. Graney's getting ready to come back out where they will play a first and goal, the ball at the 15-yard line. The chains resting on the ground on the far side when you are in a goal-to-go situation. All you see is the down marker. Trips to the top of your screen with Pleasant alongside Arch Manning. Play action. They'll come with the slant, and that was a little high through the hands of Sutherland. It'll be second and goal.
Lenny, Bonnabel's playing what is called two-man. They're pressing. Here, let's take a look at this high slant real quick. And look how the number one receiver gets off of the press coverage up there and gets separation and is able to give him his jersey look where Manning will get the opportunity to throw the ball in there. But if you're looking at the guys in the goal, you're seeing what is called two-man. They're pressing all across the bottom, and they've got two high safeties up top. That reads run to any offense.
Go play action here. Get the slant that time, and it is caught. That was number 20 on the catch there. That is Pike Philibert. Gets 5 on the play.
And back to kind of what I was talking about, that should be reading run, but Nelson Stewart's going to force that ball in there on the pass. He loves to throw the football, but it's really a great job by those receivers getting off of that press underneath coverage.
And we got movement up front. It looks like a Bruin jump quickly. That may have been 64, Jardel Barre, or perhaps 54. Let's check that. I think it was 54. James White was rotating in there. So the ball now at the 5-yard line. That makes a big difference there. Wait, third and goal from the 10 or third and goal from the 5. Now at the 5, puts a few more options in there perhaps. Manning will step up, look to run, and he will take a hit right at the goal line, but falls forward for the touchdown.
Okay, there we go. First thing he's got to learn as a freshman, get down. Here we go. You're going to see it right here. Everybody's ran off down here inside the red zone. Nothing open. Doesn't force it. Looks like he's going to walk in. Get down. Whack. Hello. First thing he's got to learn as a young freshman is to get down.
Now of course, the challenge is this: when you slide, it's immediately where you give yourself up. Now, if you slide too soon, you could get ruled outside of the end zone.
Well, he's just got to go down and protect his upper
torso. Got to live for another day right there.
Right.
But thankfully, all is good. Hardy on to try the PAT. And the kick is good with 5:06 remaining.
You know, do you realize also if that was a college play right there, they might be re-looking at it for a hit to the head.
That's anything's possible. And
somebody would be over under a hood looking at that.
In this day and age. So your new score now, Newman 16, Bonnabel nothing with 5:06 remaining in the first quarter. Okay, we've seen 2 series of Arch Manning. One was 1 play. That one a little bit longer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was 8 plays there. Early impressions.
He's a player, which I knew he was going to be. But look, what impressed me was the broken play where he sprints out to his right and nothing's open, and he finds something to do with the ball and get it in the hands of one of his backs to just be able to pick up some positive yardage. That's a big time play right there. Let's
consider this, okay? Leave your dad out of it, but your 2 uncles have a combined 4 Super Bowl championships. Peyton's got 5 NFL MVPs. They've thrown for a combined 127,000 yards and 900 touchdowns. Your 2 uncles. Think about those numbers for a minute.
I'm just working
and counting because Eli is still playing,
right.
Of course.
And going through his mind, he's just working on a district championship.
Sure.
And Nelson Stewart's going to do a great job keeping the kid grounded.
Yep.
I mean, he's been around it. He's played with those guys. They've been in and out of his locker room, numerous. Archie's always around. Donated a part of the stadium, right, to rebuilding it, right, revamping it and everything. So, I mean, Nelson gets it. Nelson's a Newman graduate. He has all that. He understands what's going on, and he knows how to handle the young man, and he's going to bring him along.
And that's one of the things we're going to hear from Nelson at halftime. I had a chance to talk to him earlier this summer, and that's one of the things that we talked about is, look, we're not just talking about the last name here. This is the first time he has had the chance to coach one of his former teammates' sons.
And look,
that's big.
That's big, very big.
Pass
very
complete on first down to Lawrence Joseph, the senior wide receiver, who will get about 8 on first down. So a good start for the Bruins once again on this series. Now they got to try to put a few plays together. We've seen a couple of decent plays. They just got to string a few together here.
Well, they're in a manageable situation now. They're 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4. That's manageable. Now you could do something. Again, if you look at the formation, they have nobody out there than number 2 receiver. No adjustment.
Bardell rolls, will let it fire long. He had a guy wide open and overshot him.
That's a busted assignment. They're trying to play some sort of halves coverage up top, and the corner's now looking at the safety. He was expecting help. Corner will fall off onto the flat route, which what the number 2 receiver ran, and that left the wide receiver on the go route wide open over the top. The number 1 receiver should have had the safety over the top of him, and I can see he's getting kind of chewed from the sidelines over there at Newman. So that's a busted coverage. They're lucky on that.
Yeah, Tyron Williams, the Bruin basketball player, who's come over to football for his senior year, was the intended receiver. This will be a keeper by the quarterback, and I think he stumbled but did not quite get to the stick, so it's decision time for Brett Bonifants. This is 4th and a foot from the 29-yard line.
All right, here we go. Good. Watch him stumble right here. Right there. I mean, he's running the option. He makes a nice cut, and he just kind of gets, a little turf mouse comes up and pulls him down by his shoestrings right there. He should have gotten that. That was a nice cut and a nice read right there by Bardell.
So on 4th and 1, you're down by 16 at this point.
Are they going to try to draw him off here?
Let's see what happens. Play clock down to 10. They will go. They'll run the pitch. Well handled by the running back. He got it in with one hand and gets the first down and then some. Nicholas brought that in with one hand because that was potential disaster right there. If that gets by him, that is potentially a Newman touchdown. Another look, Wade.
Here's your replay. Watch, they're going to run the speed option. And look at the nice hands right here. Right out on the fingertips, scoops it in. Soft edge out there, again, because of the coverage that Newman is playing. And they get a lot of room to run, and they pick up the first down.
Rolling and firing long and got a man open and caught. Romilius Fannin on the catch, and the Bruins find themselves in the red zone at the Newman 17-yard line, a gain of 44 on the play.
You play too high coverage, you got to expect the safety to be over the top of something. No safety over the top of the go route here. It's still the flat go, the same thing we saw on the other side of the field just 3 plays prior. Nobody's there. Safety doesn't get there. Right now, Bardell does a nice job laying the ball out there for Fannin. Great catch. Bardell has a rocket for an arm. He can throw the football.
From the 17. Play clock down at 4, 3, 2, 1. They're not going to get this off. See if they call timeout or if, no, the flag's going to come in. And look, this is one of the things, Wade, we've talked about it already, the new rule this year where the 40-second clock starts as soon as the play is over. You don't wait for the official to spot the ball. There's no issues with that. But that, when you pop a long play like that, you've got to be ready to go and not wait for the official to put the ball down and all of a sudden get, a new 25 at that point.
Little different. The only difference is it'll go back to a 25-second clock after an administrative enforcement by the officials.
Thrown incomplete in the direction of Joseph. Nice coverage that time. That was Jackson Kerner, the senior at free safety.
For the past 2 weeks, we've seen, here's our replay right here on this route to Joseph. Just a little high, a little overthrown. Nice play by the secondary right there. They ran the route right into the coverage. Should have broke the route just a little bit earlier. But talking about the 40-second clock, Lenny, I'm hearing great things about it from the past 2 weeks by not only just coaches, but also from officials as the way they're administrating the new rule in Federation.
Bonnabel will take their first time out of the half here with 2:38 remaining in the first quarter. So for some of the stumbles that we saw early on from the Bruins, it looks like perhaps they're getting their legs under them here on this drive. Now the thing you've got to do is be able to capitalize and
you got to come away with points.
You got to get something here
because Newman can from anywhere on the field. We've seen it. What was it? 54 yards first play of the football game. Anywhere on the field that team can strike. So when you get your opportunities, speaking of Bonnabel, you're going to have to come away with some points somehow. Great opportunity to do it right now. Again, they need to be taking advantages of what we're seeing in the Newman coverage, not covering receivers when they're in their trips formation and the ball is on the hash. They're putting their trips formation into the wide side of the field, and
so now it's to the top of your screen.
Right. Nobody's covering the number 2 receiver.
They will throw it. This time the slant, they tried to hit Toller, and incomplete.
Not a real good throw right there. Both receivers wide open, and he just doesn't deliver the ball where he needed to be. Had the protection. Everything was fine. Everything was good. Just didn't put the ball on the money. So, they're behind the chains now big time with 3rd and, 14?
15 to go
15,
here,
yeah.
Line to make is the 7-yard line. Down the seam and in and out of the hands of Toller at about the 5-yard line. Would have been a first down, might have even been a touchdown, and now it's 4th and 15.
Toller's going to want that back tomorrow. That hits him right in the hands. Here's a great look. Watch the slant by the number 3 receiver at the top of the screen. Bardell's going to put it right on the money. Bang, right there. That should have been 6. Hits him right in the hands. No better place to hit you than in the hands. That was a great pass.
So let's see what the Bruins dial up here on 4th and 15 at the 22 of Newman. We'll sprint out towards the corner of the end zone, and that is incomplete, no flags.
Lenny, he throws to the underneath coverage right there. He would have caught the ball, or the underneath receiver, he would have caught the ball in the flat route. He'd gotten the first down and probably would have ran untouched into the end zone. Nobody covering in the too deep zone.
So Newman will take over on downs here with 2:23 remaining in the first quarter.
Squandered opportunity right there. They needed to come away with some sort of points down here in the red zone.
Manning from the gun will give it away. And the couple of times that the Greenies have tried to run the ball thus far, Wade, the Bonnabel defense has really stiffened up. As Pleasant there got maybe a yard.
Well, number 55, Jacoby Alex, does a nice job in there stiffening up. Also, James White, reserve defensive lineman, does a nice job getting off the block, making a nice tackle. What the coverage is dictating from Bonnabel is 5 people in the box. That reads run, but this is what they do well.
Over the top, and Sutherland just couldn't run it down. It'll be 3rd and 9.
Yeah, and let me say this, okay, and this is something about offensive linemen that I have noticed over my 34 years coaching is you usually don't see an extremely well-passing team very physical on the run. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
And you don't see a real physical run team very good in the protection schemes.
You're one or the other.
Right,
yeah.
at this level.
You're good at pass blocking or you're maulers at run blocking, but
Correct.
You're usually not both. Manning will sprint out here on 3rd and 9, has to step away from a defender, throws that one incomplete. It was in the direction of Will Randall, his number 2 tight end, and it's 4th and 9. So
he does a nice job right here evading the pressure. He's going to half sprint to his right. There's the pressure coming after him right there on his right shoulder. Nobody open. He throws it in the direction. I think he instinctively, intentionally throws it into the dirt at the feet of the receiver to make sure he doesn't get the pick, just to be able to make sure he can get his punting team on the field so they can change the field position.
Live for another day.
Right, live for another day. Again, you asked me a few minutes ago, what are my thoughts? That's phenomenal for a young freshman quarterback to be able to make that type of instinctive decision.
Newman will use a timeout before the 40-second clock can expire. So each team has used a timeout here late in the first quarter. That will give us a chance to remind you, Wade, that Crescent City Sports Prep Football is brought to you by Gibbs Construction, a leader in the construction industry in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast for more than 35 years, transforming dreams, visions, and plans into reality. Gibbs Construction. We also want to remind you to catch the All-State Sugar Bowl LHSA Thursday Night Football Game of the Week next week, 6 days from now, in Ruston as the Bearcats welcome Airline. Watch it Thursday at 7 at CrescentCitySports.com or through the LHSAA live app. Ken Trahan, Eric Held, will call that one. Kate Adams on the sideline. That one's being played at Joe I.A. Stadium at Louisiana Tech.
Well, of course, because of all the damage, I'm sure that they had with
the
tornado.
Oh, and that punt is blocked, and that will go. It's going to spin around at the 12-yard line. Sutherland picks it up. They can advance this because it was behind the line of scrimmage. Now Sutherland's going to turn and run the other way, try to cut it forward, and is finally going to be brought down at the 17-yard line. But that is a heads-up play right there by Sutherland, Wade, knowing the situation when it's blocked behind the line of scrimmage, the kicking team can advance the ball, and if he had advanced it past the first down marker, it would have been a first down, correct?
Yes, it would have been. It would have been a first down. He would have been able to advance the ball. Absolutely. Either Team A or Team B can advance the ball when the ball has been blocked on a scrimmage kick. The ball did not go past the line of scrimmage. It could be advanced either direction. So heads-up play by Sutherland. Does a great job. He almost broke that thing.
And that was a one-handed block right there. I believe that was Bishop Lynch, number 12, that got the paw in there. These are the Bruins, after all, and got around and got that punt block.
Oh, my, I just caught that.
Well, sometimes we say that anyway, but you really can
right.
tonight. So from the 18, Bonnabel looking to capitalize. Hit from behind. That is going to be ruled an incomplete pass. And if this is college or the NFL, you're talking about those kind of things. If that's college or the NFL, they probably let that play go there, and then they let replay decide whether his arm was coming forward or not.
Right.
But they rule it right away, an incomplete pass.
Let's take a look at our replay right here and see what we got. I think that's Brandon Williams coming from behind on his left, and I don't know. I don't know if his arm was coming forward or not. It looked like it was his elbow was hit before the arm was coming through.
They'll run a little cross action in the backfield right there, and it's well defended by the Greenies on the carry by Nichols.
They've been setting that up, that inside zone right there, up all night. They've been running this speed option or this jet sweep, whatever you want to call it, coming back, faking the inside zone off of it right there. They run the inside zone, well defended by the Greenie defense.
So it's 3rd and 8. The line to make is about the 7.5-yard line. Bardell nowhere to go, and he is thrown down. The sack comes from number 60, Joshua Koppel, the 5'10", 205-pound junior who had 4 sacks a year ago.
All right, Koppel, you can see right here, working well right there on his defense, on his offensive line, and gets off with a little rip technique and does a nice job converging on Bardell. That's a big play right there to take the Bruins out of the red zone.
And now it's 4th down and 21, the ball at the 29-yard line.
There's no call on the play sheet for 21 yards.
Take a shot at the end zone. It's about all you can do right here. They will throw. It is caught, but he's out of bounds. Well defended there.
Right.
By the Greenies.
Very well defended by the Greenie secondary over there. The safety gets over the top. Also, the corner does a nice job running with the receiver, using his body to press him out of bounds. Even though the ball's caught, it's out of bounds. No touchdown. Good coverage right there.
So Newman takes over with 2 seconds left in the quarter here. We'll have one play before this quarter comes to an end. From the 29. Play action on 1st down, and that was nearly intercepted, as that was, we got flags down, I believe, but that was Kendrick Eugene, whose name we've called quite a bit tonight. Return, saw him a quarterback for a play.
I think it's a defensive penalty here.
Let's see.
They're over talking to Nelson Stewart first.
It's a personal foul, roughing the passer against Bonnabel. And it's a 1st down, and I believe this will be an untimed down.
Should be an untimed down. 15-yard dead ball foul from the spot where the ball was snapped from.
So the play started at the 29, now put it at the 44-yard line where the Greenies will get one more untimed down here in the first quarter.
That hurts.
A really good start by Newman.
Right.
Maybe a little sloppy here towards the end of the quarter, but still, their defense is tightened up quite a bit. So from the 44, they'll give it away. Pleasant coming this way will only get about a yard, and well defended that time. That was Dorville Thomas, one of the linebackers, stepping up to make that play, and that will bring us to the end of the first quarter. 12 minutes in the books here from Joe Yenny Stadium with your score. Newman 16 and Bonnabel nothing. You are watching high school football from Crescent City Sports. Second quarter of action, Crescent City Sports Prep Football. Is brought to you in this second quarter by Lamarck Ford. Now with an all-new 12-bay quick lane serving all makes and models for brakes, tires, oil changes, and more. Come see our Lamarkable deals and service. Stop by or go to lamarck.com. And a nice play for the Greenies to get things started in the second quarter.
Well, Bonnabel takes their turn right there, Lenny, not covering the number 2 receiver. And so Manning looks up and sees Will Randall wide open. He gets the ball out there quickly for a huge gain.
That's incomplete on second down. Or check that on first down. Now it'll be second down. Ball at the Bonnabel 33-yard line, a gain of 22 on that first play of the quarter.
Newman picking up the tempo here, Lenny. I guess they've decided to do that to try to tire out some of the interchanging of the Bonnabel defense here.
And movement up front, and that will be offsides against the Bruins.
They got James White right there. You'll get a good look at it right here. Is this our offsides? It might be.
So 2nd and 5 now at the 28-yard line.
Well, didn't quite get that on the replay right there, but that was James White on the offsides right there.
Just trying to anticipate the count a little bit.
Absolutely.
Play action. Manning will roll this way. Throw. Flag is down. Incomplete in the direction of Sutherland. But a flag down in the secondary. Let's see what this is about.
I think they're going to get Jonathan Brock down here, number 13, on
for a hold.
Holding the jersey of the receiver. You know, Jonathan Brock is a story on his own. He's a basketball player. They got him to come out and play football. He's 6'3", 375 pounds out there playing on the corner. He's a fine-looking athlete. And it's good to see that you're seeing a lot of those crossover athletes at Bonnabel coming out to play. And they need to do that. You know,
Bonnabel, we had a chance to see them in the playoffs a year ago on Crescent City Sports against West Jeff, their district rival. Got to Lake Charles in the semifinals, had a lead but couldn't hold it against Thibodaux in the semis. Thibodaux went on to win the state title in Class 5A.
Well, I just like to see dual sport athletes in high school. You know, you should be able to play all sports and get in the work for all of it that you need, and that's a good sign for the Bonnabel program.
Give it away, and I believe this is going to be blown dead. They're going to say that Pleasant's knee hit the ground at the 21-yard line.
James White blew that up. He just spurts into the backfield right there. Nobody touches him. Newman trying to run a counter scheme by pulling the backside left guard and tackle, but James White's in the backfield. They can't even get a block on him.
Again, Bonnabel continues to do a nice job against the Newman running game.
Newman struggling with the ball on the ground.
Trips to the bottom of your screen. Play action. Manning will roll that way. Now throw. Caught by Sutherland. What a move. Makes another man miss and into the end zone for a touchdown. 23 yards, or check that, 21 yards on the completion from Manning to Sutherland, his second of the night.
Good look at it right here. The protection breaks down. What does Manning do? He gets out of there to his right to buy himself some time. The old scramble drill right there. He could have stepped out of bounds right there. We need to go to our camera down there on the pylon. But did you see the move right there at the goal line Sutherland put on the defender?
Made one guy miss at about the 8-yard line, made another guy miss inside the 5.
The old scramble drill. You know, you practice that, Lenny. You take one day out of the week and you put in a 5 to 10 minute scramble drill doing nothing but having your protection break down.
And there was movement up front on the try.
And so
this will be false start against Newman, I believe. Yes, so they'll try it from 5 yards further back.
And so what you do is, getting back to the drill, is you have your receivers learn to run to open spots, come back to the quarterback, break deep. In other words, try to create some clearance and vision for that quarterback to be able to see. And that's what Sutherland did right there. And Sutherland's an outstanding receiver.
He's got a lot of offers out there. Last week against Lusher, 9 receptions for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. A year ago, 75 catches for over 1,300 yards and 24 touchdowns. He's got 2 more touchdowns here this evening to give him 4 in the year as the kick is good. So with 10:50 remaining in the second quarter, barely 13 minutes into this one, it is Newman 23 and Bonnabel nothing. I think, not just Manning, but Sutherland has been very impressive, and he's got a ton of offers out there, and he's an outstanding student as well.
Well, I mean, he's well drilled, and I wouldn't expect anything less from a receiver that's playing in a Nelson Stewart offense to be able to be well drilled. And like I said, hey, when things break down, and they're going to do that, they're going to break down, what are you going to do as a receiver? I've got to be able to offer myself the opportunity for my quarterback to get some vision on my jersey. So you just can't talk about it. You've got to practice it. And good football teams practice when things break down. What are you going to do to try to make a positive out of a negative?
So let's see if in the other direction, if Hardy still can reach the end zone. A little bit shorter this time. That'll come down at about the 4. And nice job by the Greenies cover team as they will stop it right there at the 20-yard line. So not much of a difference there.
Well, great coverage right there. Nice high kick. Allowed the coverage to get down and to cover the kick and to get under the ball. Not a lot of blocking up front by the Bonnabel return team. And we'll set up 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line.
Looked like at first he might have got past the 20, but they'll actually put it down right there. So at the end of the day, it looks the same as a touchback. So let's see what the Bruins can do here on their first series of the second quarter. A little quick out pass there on first down in the direction of Lawrence Joseph, who will get 7 yards.
Newman will walk their outside linebacker out and try to get some position out there between the number 2 and 3 receiver. I was waiting for Bonnabel to throw that quick screen out to the number 2 receiver to take advantage of all that room that they have out there because of the too high coverage that Newman has given them, and they do that, and they get a nice gain out of it. Brings up a manageable second down for them.
They'll give it away, and this will be a first down run for Nichols. Out past the 40, still on his feet, over the 45 to the 47-yard line, a gain of 20.
Duane Nichols last year rushed for 759 yards and 11 touchdowns. He's a fine little fine running back. I'm not going to say little because he's a good-sized young man. Yeah. He was rumbling, bumbling, stumbling right there, and Newman had a hard time bringing him down. Another 20 yards down the road, they finally get him down.
Whistle.
And he's
Stopping
limping.
play. Nichols is hobbling off here, and that's not what you want to see if you're Brett Bonifons. You're starting running back, a little gimpy coming to the sideline.
Especially after a nice gain right there.
No doubt. And they'll work on him on the near side. And Bruins out near midfield, 1st and 10. Coming this way again. This could, same type of play as what we saw a moment ago to Joseph. First time it got 7, this time it gets 8.
Thank you very much. That's what happens when you don't cover the number 2 receiver. I'm glad they made that adjustment over there in boundary. Now Newman's going to have to do something to make an adjustment to us. Look at the number 2 receiver. Nobody's there.
And
you
this
got
is
3 on 1. And 3 on 1. It's a numbers. Look at that. Block, go.
So it's 2nd and 2 at the 45. Let's talk about that more in a second. Wait after this play. Exactly what these teams do when they when they're trying to defend, they're not manning up the line on everybody, and that is batted up in the air. A couple of Newman defensive players just didn't see it. It's incomplete. But so what is happening? I mean, obviously you've got to respect the run, and you've got so many guys that you want to keep in the box. And then everybody else is on. Your DBs are out of coverage. But when you play a spread team like this,
right. I mean, it's
not that they're choosing not to cover people. It's just based on the scheme that they're playing.
It's why Mr. Football came up with 11. It's that simple. All right, you got to make a decision. All right, he was genius with the rules. Let's see what our call is by our official real quick.
There's a flag down in the Bonnabel backfield on the near side. They break the huddle with 12, perhaps? I don't know. Or maybe it's an equipment issue.
So I believe it's an equipment issue. So they walked off 5 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been a mouthpiece. The wide receiver maybe did not have his mouthpiece in, and the line judge over here blew it dead. Getting back to what I was saying, you're playing with 11. By formation, you're going to have to make a decision on what you're going to do with your safeties. If you want to stop the run, you're going to have to bring something down into the box. But you still got to cover all the receivers. You can't continue to play with 2 receivers high in a 3-by-1 formation unless you take someone out of the box or you take one of the safeties from the top of the defense and move them down to cover that number 2 receiver. Look at the number 2 receiver right there. You can see 5'10", almost 12 yards between them. You pop the ball out there, you're not making the tackle until 10 yards down the field.
And when we say the number 2 receiver, we're talking about the number 2 guy at the top of the screen.
At the top of the screen,
right?
From the boundary.
The middle guy.
Correct. We count receivers from outside in 1, 2, 3. That's either X, Y, or Z, depending on what you're talking about here in football terminology or how they label that position in that formation. So the choice is what are you going to? You're going to play with 6 in coverage, 5 in the box. You're going to play with 6 in the box. You're going to play with 5 in coverage. What's the quicker strike? The quicker strike is that you're going to have to cover the number 2 receiver out there, so you're going to play with 6 in coverage. You got to get the safety down from where his alignment is.
3rd and 7. They'll go back that way once again. Can they get a block and make a man miss? Indeed, they can, but a flag comes in. So they got the blocks and made a man miss and got the first down, but there might have been a holding call along the way. Let's see.
I think they've got holding out there on the edge. Here's a good look at it. Now, the only thing I would have liked to seen the receiver do right there after he catches the ball, try not to get outside. Don't run lateral. Let's go north and south. It's a north and south field. Can't go east and west on a north and south field.
He still gained 7 on the play, but you're going to put a 10-yard penalty behind it, so now it's going to be 3rd down and 10.
You go north and south, you're one-on-one with that safety. One move, he make and miss, you're in the end zone.
So they fed Joseph now 3 times on this series, that middleman in the 3-by-1 look. This time they'll roll, throw. That ball was batted.
It was batted.
And it was intended in the direction of Joseph, but it went incomplete because he got tipped at the line.
They had their receiver over and on the out route. We saw this route back in the first quarter. They struck one big on their boundary with this route, and then they just missed another one on the opposite boundary off of the flat fly route just got batted right there by a Newman defensive lineman. I didn't catch that number, but the receiver was open. Good pressure by that Newman defensive line.
So it appears Bonnabel is going to go for this on 4th down and 10 at their own 47-yard line. Got to get another lineman in there. They may not be able to get this off. They may have to burn a timeout here, Wade. 2-1 on the play clock, and indeed they will. So they'll use a timeout with 8:28 remaining.
Those are things you got to get worked out. Those are things you can't have happen. You can't waste your timeouts because you can't get your personnel on the field. Okay, so that's something that's got to get worked on at practice. Knowing depth charts, things of that nature. Those are inexcusable mistakes that are going to put you in a bind. They're going for it at 4th down from their own 47-yard line. You're down by 23 right here. Newman can strike real quick if they don't get this. In other words, I'd punt.
There's that.
Right. I would just put it like that. You got to be able to have faith in your punting game and your kicking game. Well, then they do.
Looks like they are going to send the punt team out now and after the timeout.
Good decision.
Good snap this time. And a pretty good kick, in fact. This is going to get a Bonnabel roll. It's going to continue to roll. He picked it up too soon. They could have let that thing roll inside the 10-yard line. Instead, it's going to be blown dead at the 12, a 41-yard punt.
Now, that's a teachable moment for that. I'm sure Coach Bonifance tomorrow will point that out to that young man. Make sure you understand your positioning on the field, where the ball is, what the situation is. Let that ball roll. Let's try to milk this thing as far as we can, get it down inside the 5, and put Newman back on their heels deep in their own territory. Everything's a teaching situation, and that's what it's all about. And that's, again, one of the great things about high school football. You are continually teaching the game to young men. Just little things.
Best run of the night thus far for Pleasant on 1st down, and he's going to get about 6 to the 18.
One of the first positives that they made in the running game tonight. Good job by the offensive line up front on the inside zone scheme. Pleasant had a nice hole to be able to stick his nose up in there and pick up a nice gain of about 6.
So 2nd and 4 for the Greenies. Manning will give it away once again, and Pleasant has the 1st down out to about the 23-yard line, maybe the 24.
Off a draw scheme right there. Offensive lineman did a nice job inviting up the defensive lineman from Bonnabel. You can see the draw scheme right there with the little lead action. They brought the wing back around up on the linebacker and a little isolation look. So it was a very nice scheme drawn up there by the Newman Greenies.
Give it away once again to Pleasant. Keeps churning out near the sticks.
That time they get the kick-out block on the counter right there. They had penetration up the field by number 55, Jacoby Alexis, and he just gets kicked out and destroyed by the backside guard of Newman, and the tackle wraps up on the linebacker for the counter scheme. Great pickup right there. They found the running game.
3 carries, 21 yards here on this drive. At the 33, it'll be 1st and 10. They'll go near side, dump it off to Pleasant. Got about half of it there. It'll be 2nd down.
This Bonnabel defense does a great job rallying to the ball. Newman will break things out, but it closes up real quick like you saw in the swing pass right there to Pleasant. Rallying to the ball, a ton of gold jerseys. They're getting a lot of numbers there at the end of the play.
from the 37, caught near side. Sutherland makes a man miss, gets to the sideline, and is brought down at about the 45, and a flag comes in late for a late hit.
You're going to have a possible late hit. It could also be a possible horse collar because it looks like the back of the jersey was grabbed just above the numbers as he was pulled down. Let's see it on our replay. Watch this move right here on the slant. Watch this move right here. Whip.
Got him an extra 10 yards.
And did you see the horse collar right there at the end? So you got a couple of
personal
things
foul
could possibly call.
Yeah, just no horse collar
No
signal
horse collar.
there, so I don't know if it was just late hit out of bounds.
Late hit out of bounds. Tack it on.
And where are they going to walk it off from? Looks like the 47, actually. They'll put it down at the 32-yard line, so call it a gain of 16 on the play. And we have hit the 6-minute mark, and that will give us a chance to get hydrated, Wade. 5:56 remaining here in the first half. It's been all Newman. 23-0, the Greenies lead Bonnabel. You are watching high school football from Crescent City Sports. So at the 32-yard line, the Greenies will take over after the hydration break. Manning on first down. Little pump fake. Now we'll take a shot down the field. It is incomplete. I think there was a miscommunication there, Wade. Two guys basically in the same area. Will Randall, the tight end, along with Sutherland. And I would think, just based on the pump and go, that may have been intended for Sutherland, although Randall was maybe the nearest guy.
You've got four verts right here. And when you're in four verts, the route calls for the backside three receiver, which we've explained what that is, to run to the hash. But the rule is don't cross the hash because the vertical from the other side of the field is still going vertical, and it reduces your window for the quarterback to throw in. And I think that's what we saw right there. We saw Randall cross the hash on his vertical route from his backside trips position.
Try to swing it out that time to the running back, Pleasant, and that is met in the backfield for a loss. And it's going to be 3rd and long for the Greenies in what could be 4-down territory.
I got to think it's going to be 4-down territory.
Got movement once again up front, and it is going to be offside against the Bruins.
They got Keyshawn James that time, trying to get a step on the snap.
He's out of the shotgun there. Is that just trying to jump the gun, or you think that's cadence? And again, we've got movement up front.
They just can't hold your water. That's a little undisciplined right there. That's something that's got to get fixed. It's called ball key. Got to have ball key. You've got the ball right there in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, when you're playing the nose or playing defensive tackle, you can see the football.
Yeah, you see the football. It's called ball key. The next thing you're looking at is, okay, offensive lineman's in a 3-point stance. There's his hands. If he's in a 2-point stance, you're seeing his feet with the ball in your peripheral. No excuses.
So it's gone from 3rd and 11 to 3rd and 1 after a pair of offside penalties. Manning steps, throws in the direction of his tight end, incomplete. Randall could not haul it in, and now it's 4th and 1.
They run the four verticals again, and Randall was right where he needed to be. The ball was just a little bit off target. He ran a better route right there on those four verticals, getting to the inside of the hash. Ball just a little bit late. Got to hit that a little bit quicker. Those four verticals got to get hit within about 12 to 14 yards.
On 4th and 1, quarterback sneak, and Manning will get the first down. He needed 1, he got 3.
First time that we've seen him go under center tonight, so that's going to have to be a key moving forward. If they're not going to do anything under center, when you go under center with 4th and short, what's that an alert for? Sneak.
To the outside.
There's your draw play. Nice job again with the lead draw. You getting the Greeny offensive line drawing the Gold defensive line up the field from Bonnabel, and they're bringing a wingback around onto the linebacker and opening up a nice hole for Pleasant right there. You can see it on the replay, or it was there. I just didn't see it on the replay. Great. But that's exactly what happened. It was a lead draw.
2nd and 1 from the 11. Manning to the corner of the end zone, overshot his man.
Okay, a little bit too much juice. That's about the 4th or 5th ball we've seen tonight of that young freshman putting a little bit too mustard on it. That's something that a young quarterback will learn. You know, they've got that cannon, right? I've got to learn how to dial it back and either air it, drop it in, you know, put it on the inside shoulder, the outside shoulder. All of that will come with time. That's the inexperience.
So on 3rd and 1, Manning will operate out of the gun here. Will he take a shot or will he try to get the yard? Fake the dump off. Now he will throw it in the direction of Pleasant, and it's incomplete.
I don't know if that was a planned dump off or was it a pump and he was going to go someplace else and then he came back to it. But I tell you what, if he would have given it up immediately, Pleasant would have had a nice amount of turf there to be able to run on and possibly would have scored. They definitely picked up the first down. I like the call. I just don't know what the read or the progression was that they were having Manning do with the route.
So at 4th and 1, they'll give it away, and looks like on second effort it's going to be a first down with Kerner on the carry. And indeed it is. 1st and goal. Put it right down at the 10-yard line. This Newman drive started at the 8:18 mark. So we're closing in on 5 minutes on this drive. They've gotten some help with some 3 Bonnabel penalties. Play, I know, check that. They will give it away to Kerner, and that is well defensed by the Bruins, getting through there in the backfield. I believe that was Alexis.
I think Alexis was there, as well as number 50, Thomas Dorville, who blitzed from his linebacker position. Nobody picked up the blitz. Ran right into Pleasant in the backfield. Threw him for a huge loss. They're way behind where the stick should be.
Yep, 2nd and goal, ball at the 15-yard line. Manning, little half roll, will take a shot at the end zone. That is just out of bounds. I thought maybe the Philibert dragged the foot, but no such luck, says the official. It's 3rd and goal.
Okay, you asked me again. Take a look at the replay. Notice where the ball is. The ball is on the opposite hash from where they throw the deep out. Does that tell you a little bit about his arm strength?
That definitely talks about arm strength.
For everybody that's looking at that at home, you're wondering the arm strength of this freshman. That is a huge key right there.
You could throw the ball. Yeah, you could throw the ball from one hash to the other sideline. That tells you something right there. And that was right on the money, too. He's going to run with this one on 3rd and goal, trying to get in, and he will score. 2nd rushing touchdown of the night from Arch Manning. 15 yards out, and it's 29-0.
Nowhere to go. What does he do? He scrambles out to make something happen. Again, you'll be able to see it on our replay here. He elects not to slide. which he's going to have to learn how to do. Nothing there. Everything's covered. Nice job. Let's extend the play. Still nothing. Let's duck it. Lucky he didn't get lit up right there. He should have gone down right there, but a tough kid that he is right now with no fear as a freshman, what does he do? Stays upright and gets bounced into the end zone.
Which uncle taught him that? Because Peyton and Eli were never really known for their running that much. Kick is good, and it's 30-0 Newman with 2:39 remaining in the.
Well, the grandpa could run, couldn't he?
Oh, no doubt. Oh, no doubt. Archie would.
Right.
He was, no doubt about it.
I've seen old film of him running back in the 70s or the late 60s at Ole Miss.
No question.
And then Cooper could run a little bit, couldn't he? Mm-hmm. Hence he was a wide receiver. So yeah, he's got the bloodlines, but he's still got a long way to go, a lot of things to learn. But from everything we've seen so far, I've seen and a half now. This is going to be what everybody from the press is going to be drooling over for the next 3.5 years. It's going to be the Arch Manning watch show.
16 plays on that drive, Wade. 88 yards, 5 minutes and 39 seconds off the clock. And that's the kind of thing Nelson Stewart has to like. The ability to sustain a long drive, just continue to move the chains. They did it a lot of different ways there. You saw some nice passes. You saw the running game get going. You saw when things broke down, you saw the scramble from Arch Manning to get in the end zone.
Well, they had some things break down, so they did real nicely adapting to be able to overcome the adversities. That's a good football team that can do that.
Yep, the kickoff from the 6, and they will pin Chris Toller inside the 20-yard line. So the Bruins will start off pinned deep here with 2:34 remaining in the first half. So now put on your coaching hat for a moment. You're Brett Bonifants. What are you looking to get out of this last 2:34 of the half besides, I guess the simplest thing would be go down and score here?
Well, obviously I want points, but the first thing I got to do is I got to get some continuity with my offense.
Take a shot down the field, and that is caught for a first down. A well-executed play right there by the Bruins. Tyron Williams goes up and makes the catch at the 40-yard line, a gain of 23.
And some continuity, what I'm talking about is that you can continue to move the ball without putting yourself behind the sticks with penalties or a turnover or some sort of sack.
Bardell will get away and will get pushed out of bounds after about a gain of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
He has a little hiccup in his stride there. That's as a result of last week's game with Destrain. You'll see him right here, sprint out to his right. Nothing there. He's going to decide to light out of there as he evades the rush. Watch it right here towards the end of the play. See the little limp right there? You saw that?
Just didn't have the acceleration that you might want to see. And that's that we know he's got it. He's just
right. A little banged up from last week.
Taking a shot down the middle of the field and incomplete in the direction of Chris Toller.
Two verticals right there, and I tell you what, he had air on that ball. Had that been put on the money, Toller would still be running because he would have evaded the safety who overcommitted right there. That would have been 6. Two verticals with hitches out of the number ones. You would think 2 high safeties would be able to cover those 2 verticals, but they overcommitted on those verticals, and that was an opportunity right there that I'm sure Bardell wish he had back.
On 3rd down, they'll try to run the screen this time to the running back, Nicholas, who will get out to about the 46. Now it's 4th and 4, and it's decision time.
I like the screen. Would have liked to see it a little bit earlier this half. Nice job, really letting those defensive linemen pass. They did not retrace their steps as they should have done. They just dumped the ball, and they get a nice pickup.
So on 4th and 4, Bruins will go for it. Down the middle, right in the hands of Toller. He could not hang on, and Newman will take over on downs.
You got to catch that football. Not a good position for this Bonnabel defense to be put in right here at midfield with a $1:40 left on the clock, and Newman still having 2 timeouts. I mean, you don't pull the foot off the gas right here. You operate your offense, and that's what I'm sure the Newman Greeny offensive coordinator, which is Nelson Stewart, is going to do.
Well, and this is a time, too, granted, the ball is at the on the plus side of the 50, but it's still a chance to get a little work in a 2-minute situation in real time. You can
Correct.
simulate these things all you want in practice, but you want to be able to do them in the games.
Correct. You can't pull the foot off the gas, and he's not.
Manning, across the middle, it is caught. That is Will Randall on the reception. They'll stop the clock to move the chains. Gain of 13.
Will Randall's a nice-looking young kid for a freshman, 6'2", 210. He's caught a couple of balls tonight.
Freshman to freshman out there. I'm sure these guys have been doing this quite a bit in middle school. So from the 33, they'll run the little bubble screen towards Sutherland, who's going to make a couple of guys miss, come completely across the field, still on his feet, and will step out of bounds at the 18-yard line. That is a talented wide receiver right there.
Yeah, he's got a little shake and bake with him. He's going to make you miss. Here we go. Look on the replay. You can see the one-man bubble screen right here. You'll get the kick out and the underneath. Set up perfectly by Manning. Puts it right on the number. Here comes a great block, bang, right there like that. And then look at the shake and bake. Look at him accelerate. He's got some talent. Numerous offers all over the country.
Give it away to the running back, Pleasant, down to about the 15-yard line. Let's see if they'll just hurry up or use a timeout. No, they'll just hurry up right here.
That's where the timeout should have been called. They have 2 to play with.
Clock down to 47 seconds. Down the seam that time on the slant. Tried to hit Randall. He thought he got held up, but no flag.
He did. You'll see that every Sunday by any defender in the NFL, a little yank and a tug on the jersey. Let's see if our replay can see it right here. They're in man coverage underneath. There's the yank. The yank on the back end. It's a little defensive back technique you teach when you are in a trail position and you need to slow that receiver down. Just reach out and give a little tug right there on that jersey that's flapping around.
So on 3rd and 7, caught. Sutherland reaches out. Does he get in? No, he's marked short at the 1-yard line. And now they'll stop the clock with 34 seconds remaining.
Are they going to move the chains right there? Is that the stop? They didn't use a timeout.
Yeah, I don't think you need to here. You could certainly go play. You still got the 2 at your disposal. It leaves everything in. Manning on the keeper. Did he get in? Doesn't appear that he did. Now you may have to use one if you're Nelson Stewart, and indeed he will with 19.8 seconds remaining.
Again, it should be a clear clue that you're going to get some sort of quarterback sneak or, quarterback goose, if that's what you want to call it, when Manning comes under center. Otherwise, they're never getting under center to run anything offensively. So it should be alert, alert, alert. Great ball right there. Sutherland makes a great catch right about helmet high, just slightly above his head to make that slant catch to set up the ball inside the 2-yard line.
I know, Wade, you've called games where your son has been a trainer. Now, tonight, I'm calling a game, working a web stream here at Crescent City Sports, while my son is working another web stream with other Brother Martin students tonight for the first time. So we've got two members of the family working 2 different broadcasts here this evening.
There you go. You got another member of the future media.
Yeah, his game's a little bit closer to this one right now. Brother Martin and Carver scoreless at the half at Tad Gormley.
What about those Carver Rams, huh? Good football team.
Give it away to Pleasant, and he is over for the touchdown.
Pleasant just bulls his way in up there, knocks over a couple of Bonnabel Bruin defenders as he barrels into the end zone to be able to put Newman up 36-0. You'll see it on the replay right here. You'll see the handoff and watch the little knockover right there into the end zone for a score for Pleasant.
And this is the first time that Arch Manning has not accounted for a touchdown this evening. He's rushed for 2, he's passed for 2, and he was 3 for 4 on the drive for 42 yards. So he accounted for 42 of the 46 yards.
Right. We got number 17 being helped off down there. I think he was involved on that tackle where Pleasant ran over a couple of Bonnabel defenders as he was barreling his way into the end zone.
It's Darren Lee, the junior defensive back, going off on his own power. It's a good sign. Kick is on the way, and it is good. So Newman now leads it 37-0 with 15.6 seconds remaining here in the first half.
You know, this drive right here started right at about midfield, didn't it?
46-yard line. So they went 46 yards in a minute and 25 seconds.
On a fourth down play that was not converted, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You got to think about things like that when you're down by 28, 30 points. You've got to think about those sort of things. You've got to think about where are we on the field, what are we lining up against as far as the explosiveness of the opponent. Let's kick this thing, get it away, give them some room, and then let's try to get ourselves into this locker room and regroup. It didn't happen out that way.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You're starting to get into the area where, and look, they ran a good play, just couldn't bring the pass in. It would have been a first down. So
right.
And it wasn't 4th and 15. It was 4th and 4. It was a manageable situation. So it's one of those things that's, it's a tough call, especially in a time and score situation like Bonnabel is dealing with right now. They'll pooch this kick and forget it. They'll blow it dead. It's going to be offsides against her. They'll actually call it procedure against Newman, but it is offsides because they crossed the 40-yard line before the ball was kicked.
Well, Bonnabel's lucky.
Because Newman was going to have the football.
Newman would have had the football at about the 35-yard line approximately with 15 seconds left.
Of course, in that situation, the kicking team cannot advance the ball. So we'll try it again from the 35-yard line. This time, it's a line drive, and it's fielded at the 35. It's like a shortstop making that play out there. They'll take it around this side, get it down to about the 40-yard line. That was Keon Bardell.
I think we're going to see a horse collar right here on this.
We get a flag. Yeah, we did get a flag. It looks like behind the play, like the 32, 33-yard line. Now we can see it.
I'm thinking horse collar. Just by seeing the way he was jerked down, pulled backwards. Unless it was a face mask.
They're talking about it.
Horse collar.
And now that will give Bonnabel one shot at the end zone here with 7.6 remaining. That's going to put the ball after the 15 yards. Let's see. They got to mark it from the end of the play, which was the 40. Now they're standing at the 39, but still, that's still in the same vicinity. That's going to put the ball at the Newman 46-yard line.
Correct.
With 7.6 to play. It gives you the chance to
take a few shots here.
Take one deep shot at the end zone.
You got one timeout. You could actually get a couple of plays in here. You've got the timeout that will help you.
We saw probably in about this spot on the field and about this much time left what the Saints were able to do the other night to get down and set up a field goal. Bardell trying to escape to give himself time, his receivers time, and he runs into a meeting in the backfield there. That was Koppel along with Jacob Pettiford, the senior defensive lineman who combined on the sack back at the 40-yard line, and that will do it for this first half of football. And it's been an impressive half for the Newman Greenies. They lead it by the score of 37-0. Wade, quick thoughts here on the first half of what we saw.
Well, Manning is as advertised. I mean, you can see the little rookie things that that he's done that he's going to have to learn. Okay, but right off the bat, we saw that 54-yard strike, and immediately you knew what you were going to be seeing for the rest of the evening, as well as the next 3.5 years. He's only going to get better. The Newman defense has done a nice job all night. stopping Bonnabel as far as the potential Bonnabel has on offense. They've done a nice job with that, and we need to see some consistency, continual offensive movement. Bonnabel offense, they've got a bunch of they're going to have to do in that locker room, and they're going to have to do something with their defense from the standpoint of being able to break passes up, get some pressure on Manning, keep him from setting his feet and throwing. So all of that stuff, I'm sure they're going to be talking about down in that Bonnabel Bruin locker room here at halftime.
Well, as I mentioned, we've got a little bit of an interview here with Nelson Stewart. This is from earlier this summer, and had a chance to talk to him about Arch Manning. And a lot of things here. Obviously, he is a freshman, and obviously we know the last name. But, you know, from Nelson's perspective, there's this. Of course, Nelson was a teammate of both Cooper and Peyton Manning at Newman before going on to Tulane, where he played there, and then coming back to his alma mater where, you know, he's been a head coach now for more than a decade. But this is an interesting situation, as we talked about briefly in the first half. Not only is it the Manning name, but this is the first time that Nelson Stewart has had the chance on this varsity team to coach the son of one of his former teammates. And that's where we start talking about legacy. So my visit from the summer with Nelson Stewart. Okay, apparently we're having some audio difficulties. We'll see if we can get those resolved with the interview with Nelson Stewart. But just to briefly touch on exactly what he was saying there, Wade, is obviously that is something that's very, very important to him in terms of, you know, being able to coach his kids.
Right.
And we talked about the Manning name and stuff, and you know, and it wasn't so much what the what Cooper and Peyton and Eli had done as players at Newman, and when they left and went on to do, you know, great things at the next level. But it was the work ethic that they brought. It was you know, those types of things that they know that they're being that they're being taught along the way, and you know you're going to see out of a Manning. Let's take one more shot, perhaps, at our. I guess legacy is not an uncommon thing here at Newman, but for you, Nelson, the first chance you've had to coach a son of one of your teammates, what does that mean to you?
It's surreal, one of my first memories is when Cooper Manning was a captain when I was a freshman, standing up and talking to us about what we wanted to accomplish. And I looked up to him so much, and as a leader and as a person. And in a million years did I never think that the first one of my teammates' sons that I coached would in fact be Arch Manning coming up. And I think that that's the most important thing. And obviously when you talk talent and skill and all that, that's wonderful. But when you get to actually coach, one of your teammates and someone in a family you admire so much, coach their son, it's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's not something I ever thought would happen. And I think it's fitting. I think it's fitting for the family, and that he's been able to come in, play middle school football, come all the way up, and watch him grow up. And I think that as a coach, when you're in your alma mater and you get a chance to obviously have this opportunity, it's not something I take lightly. It's something I think I treasure. And he's not the only one. We have, Randall's coming up and Nessers and a lot of guys that I grew up playing with and along that same team. So it's amazing seeing how, 25 some odd years later, look how everything's changed, and now they're continuing on that same legacy that was built back then. And I really treasure it. I think it's tremendous responsibility, and it's not something I take lightly, but it's a pretty phenomenal thing to have Arch Manning come up.
The fact that the first one has, if not the most significant last name in this program's history, maybe the history of this sport that you coach.
that's got to be pretty, maybe overwhelming is the word as well?
I think it can be, but I think one thing when you think about that name, it's, staying humble, working hard, being a good teammate, and doing things the right way. And I think that all the good in that comes out. I think we're a small community, and he's at the same school, obviously, his father and his uncles played at. I think it's a perfect community for him. Obviously, expectations could come in, but here I think the biggest thing is just like any kid, let him grow. I think my connection, when you think Manning, while a lot of people think obviously Hall of Fames and all the unbelievable things they've done, I think about friends, and I think about a family that I grew up with, and that's where it starts. And for me, that keeps everything grounded. And I think what's important is letting him grow with his teammates, coaching him like you do everyone else, and just keep it on us, keep it on the team. And yes, it is very special. I obviously love the family, think the world of them, but I think this is a perfect place for him to grow. And again, very excited for the next 4 years, but when it comes to Arch and this team, it's just growing each and every day.
Obviously, it's early on in his career, but how much of his dad and his uncles, guys you played with, knew growing up, do you see in Arch?
Well, I think you see some. I think he's unique. I think Arch is Arch. He's going to wear number 16. I think, obviously, you see a great delivery. You see footwork. You see speed. The things I see are the work ethic. I see, how he talks to his teammates, how he works with his teammates, communicates with his linemen, and I think that's what's special. And I think there's spots of it, but I think one thing when it comes to, the Mannings is they're all, while they're a family, they're all individuals. I think the only comparison really I think is going to be on what he brings. Obviously, there's going to be bits and pieces. He's grown up around the game. He's obviously had experiences and he's worked hard. But I think that what I've seen is he's his own person. His skill set is unique. I don't think that you could say, oh, he reminds me of this. Yes, he reminds me of the Mannings, but I think that as an athlete, as a quarterback, people forget Cooper was a phenomenal basketball player on the state championship basketball team, all-state wide receiver. Arch's mom played University of Virginia Sacred Heart, so there's all kinds of athleticism in him, and again, he's a unique young man, and again, I just love coaching him.
You got to look at the Bonnabel band there performing, and our thanks to Nelson Stewart for spending some time to visit there. And look, you and I were talking about during the interview there, Wade. It's special when you get the chance to coach the sons of guys that you played with along the way. It's something really special, and it's something he's going to get the chance to do a lot more. In fact, we should mention Arch has a younger brother who is a center of all things. Look, we've seen what the Manning families produce, right? They've put out quarterbacks, receivers.
Right.
Now we got a center coming along. So a couple of years down the line, Arch may be taking snaps from his little brother.
Well, that's awesome. But, I was telling you during the interview that it's an honor that guys that you played with will entrust you to coach their sons. And it's a great responsibility with any kid, coaching any kid, when parents entrust you to coach their sons. But it's especially special when it's someone that was a teammate of yours is going to do that. And I know that's how Nelson is feeling about getting the opportunity to coach Cooper's son.
You're a baseball fan, right?
Oh, big time.
Third quarter score up in Covington tonight. St. Paul's leading Jesuit 5-3. That's I don't know if I don't know if there was a 2-run homer there or what happened, but I'm not sure who the starting pitchers are in that game. I'm sure Dave Dave Morrow's a baseball guy, so I'm sure he's probably not liking the fact that it seems on the short end of it, but he can appreciate the score right now. Yeah,
he can appreciate the score. He's giving signals from the boundary.
Of course,
5-3. Wow.
5-3. By the way, of course, check out the All-State Sugar Bowl scoreboard at CrescentCitySports.com. No better place to get your scores. Looking around some of the key games in the area, there were one big game in the area last night. Carr beat McDonough 34-14. So the Cougars bounced back after that Week 1 loss to John Curtis. Other scores in the area here, halftime. Let's take a look around. Good one going on in Lutcher tonight. St. Charles Catholic and Lutcher tied at 14. Halftime across the river at what is now Joe Zimmerman Field. Bell Chase and Shaw tied at 14 in that one. Destrehan on the road leading Walker 34-21 at halftime. Shootout going on in that one right now. Thibodaux down in the Bayou leading South Lafourche 10-3 at the half. Riverside on the road at Ascension Catholic trailing 22-7. That is at the half. Lakeshore leading South Plaquemines 35-8. That is in the second quarter. Kentwood leading Jules Sumner. They're on into the third quarter now, 23-21 in that one. St. James second quarter leading East St. John 23-7. That's a really good game in the Bayou,
yes,
or I should say in the river parishes this evening. Earlier this afternoon, just down the road, Wenzel Field. How about De La Salle 49-13 over Country Day? Of course, we had a chance to see De La Salle against Warren Easton week one. You on the call, me sitting down in the truck watching the pictures. But that was a very beat-up football team when they walked off the field that night 8 days ago.
They were
and
playing,
that's a big bounce back for them.
They were playing with, by the end of the game, they didn't have a starter in their secondary playing. They had either cramped up and were on the boundary or banged up and on the boundary, but they were playing with 2s and 3s against that awesome Warren Easton offense as the game concluded.
Another good one on the West Bank tonight over at Joe Yenning. Lusher leading Higgins 20-19 at halftime. That's obviously a tight one there. We'll keep an eye on that one. We mentioned Carver Brother Martin, no score at the break. That is at Tad Gormley. Salmon leading North Shore 21-7. That is at halftime. Second quarter score also on the North Shore. Holy Cross leading Covington 17-6. Tigers might be okay this year. Of course, 3 weeks from tonight, it's the 100th meeting, Holy Cross Jesuit. That always an entertaining evening and showcase of high school football and everything that goes into that one.
Well, it's not just a ball game. I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's an event.
No doubt. No doubt. New
Event.
Orleans loves events, and there's
It's
no
an
doubt
event.
that is an event. Halftime at Franklinton, they lead Fontainebleau 15-13. Second quarter, Biloxi leading Hammond 21-0. Halftime, Santa Maria over East Jefferson, whose campus we're on right now, 27-13. Halftime, Ponchatoula, a team we'll see next Friday night. That game will be here on CrescentCitySports.com, also on CST against Brother Martin. Ponchatoula leading Denham Springs 17-14. That game a year ago, by the way, was 64-63.
Yeah.
That was some serious offensive fireworks that night. T.J. Finley threw for over 600 yards in that game. Elsewhere, let's see. Second quarter, Rummel all over Slidell, 23-0. Second quarter over in Mississippi, Bay High leading Kenner Discovery 21-0. Congratulations, by the way, to P.J. Sprunk. First game, the Swamp Owls of Kenner Discovery win their opener against Fisher 44-0. So congratulations to them here in their inaugural season of varsity football. Pretty good one going on. Hanville and Mandeville this evening. 14-7. Hanville leads it at the break. And that is a rundown of all the scores. A good schedule tomorrow here at Joe Yenny. It's West St. John against Riverdale. On the West Bank, Helen Cox and John Ehret should be a good one there.
Very good one.
At Tad Gormley, Landry Walker against St. Aug at 2:30. That game will be carried, by the way, on Nash Icon 106.1. Ken Trahan, our colleague, with the call on that one. And then up in Shreveport, John Curtis in the Battle of the Border once again this year. They are playing a team from Georgia, from out of the Atlanta area, Westlake, Georgia. And that should be a pretty good test once again for the Patriots. They usually face some pretty good tests up there in Shreveport. That's been a good event for them to face some teams, some good teams from both in-state and out of state.
Right.
So that's a rundown of our scoreboard at the half here. Again, here from your All-State Sugar Bowl scoreboard from Crescent City Sports. Check it out. Get all the scores all evening long. Of course, the 25th year of Ken Trahan's original prep football report airing throughout the state and here in the New Orleans area. Nash Icon 106.1 FM. Getting ready for the start of the second half. Of course, Bonnabel took the football, so Newman, after doing everything they did in the first half, they're going to get the ball here to start the third quarter. And now it's one of those things going to be interesting to see just how, how you play this on both ends with the score being what it is here in terms of how you how you manage the game. If you're Newman, obviously you still want to be able to do some things, but it's a chance probably to get a chance to look at some younger guys. You want to get be able to get the clock running as well, and try to manage things in that perspective. When you're on the other side, if you're Bonnabel, what do you go in? I mean, it's out of reach.
You preach a stop. You preach a stop. That's what should have been preached, and I'm sure Coach Bonifants did that in the locker room. Is right now we need a stop. So let's go out and 3 and out these guys, force them to punt the football, and then let's chip away and do what we do best, and put points on the board and let the chips fall where they may with the next 2 quarters of the game. Now, if you're Newman, you still got to put the gas down, because what you have to do is it's another teachable moment, because you want your kids to come out and start every half like it's 0-0. The bottom line in this game, I was told a long, long time ago that the most important part of a football game are the first 3 minutes of the second half, because a statement is made for the rest of the game. And these guys have got to make some sort of statement. So Newman is going to come and put the hammer down on the gas, and Bonnabel is going to preach, and has been taught to and preached to, about making one stop. If you haven't made a stop yet tonight, let's make one right now.
Bruins coming back to the home bench on the near side as we get set for a third quarter of football. We mentioned in the first half, Arch Manning accounting for 4 touchdowns, 2 with his legs and 2 through the air, both to Jermon Sutherland, who was outstanding here in the first half.
Well, Sutherland's special. I mean, I can see why there's tons of people around this country that are on to him. He's got the grades. He's a solid student, and he can make something happen when he gets his hands on the ball. He's a special receiver. Yeah.
And one guy we haven't really talked much about tonight, and we should, is Brandon Williams, who is even more highly recruited. He's the highest regarded recruit on this Newman team, ranked in the top 10 in Louisiana, and he's still uncommitted. He's got a ton of offers out there, from around the region, some SEC programs. I believe he's got a Tulane offer as well. So it's
right.
He's a player who we didn't get to see a lot out of last year. He was injured most of the year, only played in 4 games, and in the 4 games he played, he had 17 tackles and 4 sacks. So,
well, he's a fine athlete. He's a fine defensive lineman. He's only going to get bigger. I think he's only 220 pounds or so, right. and he's got a frame that's going to be able to grow and put a lot of weight on. So he'll be highly recruited, and he'll be playing someplace next Saturday.
And both of these guys, no doubt, will be both Williams and Sutherland, both seniors. They're going to be playing somewhere on Saturdays next fall. And 4 years from now, we can talk about where Arch Manning is going to be playing on Saturdays.
He is going to be a topic for conversation.
No question about it.
For the next 3.5 years. I mean, it's not only name recognition, but the young man can play.
From the 11, on the return and out past the 30 and the 35, that was Kerner on the return. They'll put it at the 36-yard line, and that's where Newman will begin their first series of the third quarter. And it will be Arch Manning remaining at quarterback here. You have to wonder if this. You're right. I mean, this is one of those things too. You probably want to come out and certainly play the first series of the third quarter, and then you see where you are at that point, and then you start thinking about.
To them it's 0-0, and that's the way you got to teach them coming out after second half, because you do not want to teach bad habits.
Okay, Bonnabel will get penalized here. The man ran on, but nobody ran off, so they had 12 in the formation. So this is going to be 5 yards. So it's 1st and 5 now at the 41-yard line. Manning throw it short in the direction of Will Randall, who is listed as a tight end, but we've seen him split out quite a bit this evening.
Right, they're going to run a little boot action. They're going to bring Randall, who's in the hip position at the top of your screen. He's going to slide under. We see every football team today running these bootlegs where they're bringing the Y across the formation and slipping them out into the flat off a bootleg action. You're seeing it from the top on down, Sunday all the way down through Friday nights.
Good block that time from Randall as he sprung Pleasant free for a gain of 5 and a first down. He was lined up as an H-back that time.
And that's the thing with the tight end. He's listed as a tight end, but what he is a Y. Okay, that's what you call in a formation where you're going to split him out, bring him in tight to a wing, maybe line him with his hand in the dirt on the line of scrimmage like he's lining up now.
Actually come out with 2 tight ends in this formation, one wide to each side. They'll give it away to Pleasant, and he is met in the backfield by a pair of Bruins. Martin and Thomas both coming up from their linebacker positions to make the play, and that is going to be a loss of 4.
Well, right there, while we're talking about Will Randall, he just missed a block to his inside gap. They blitzed the linebacker through it. He should have blocked down on his inside gap and walled that off, and he threw a no-hitter right there. So that's something that young freshman will see on tomorrow on film and kind of get chewed out a little bit and understand that I've got to get pads on that blitzing linebacker so I don't have the penetration and end up in the backfield with a 4-yard loss.
Bonnabel calls a timeout, gives us a chance to remind you that Crescent City Sports Prep Football is brought to you by Riverlands Insurance, meaning all your insurance needs. And get this, Wade, a proud recipient of the Top Insurance Workplace Award for 2019 from Insurance Business America. Call Riverlands at 1-800-336-4579 or go to rivins.com.
That's my friend Nolan Luke, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
I've known Nolan Luke since all the days back where I was at St. Charles Catholic back in the 90s.
Yep. Had a chance to visit with Nolan this morning. Very excited about what's happening with his company. They are about to move into new headquarters over in St. Rose later this fall. Working on that, and obviously this great award. Not only they were number 1 in the nation in their category. In terms, it's all classified based on numbers of employees. As we're going to get a flag.
You know, another thing right now, while we're looking at Newman, there's a flag down, and it's against the Bonnabel Bruins. Newman, we're seeing a couple of different formations right now. If you've noticed that, we see 2 tight ends in the game with their hands down. We haven't seen this formation all night. So, you know, what they're doing right now is they're building a resume for the teams that are down the road film-wise.
Try to throw it far side in the direction of Randall, incomplete. And look, they're doing this. Remember, James Downing, one of their tight ends, was injured early on in the first quarter. He actually saw him go off on crutches at the end of the first half. So I don't think we're seeing him again tonight. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, and he'll be back sooner rather than later. But it's they're doing this, showing their depth, because they're able to stay in some of these 2 tight ends looks even with their starting tight end out injured. 3rd and 9, the ball right at the midfield stripe, thrown incomplete. Manning really didn't have much of a chance to step into that one. I kind of sailed on him in the direction of Sutherland, and it'll be 4th down.
Great coverage right there with Jonathan Brock on the hip of Sutherland on that slant route. You'll see it again right here. Jonathan Brock, this basketball player that they got up to play football, has done a decent job, believe it or not. And there's the slant on the stem right there, and Brock's right there on the hip, and the ball was a little high, but I think that had something to do with the coverage. So kudos to Brock right there, coming up with a big stop for that Bonnabel defense. That is what they wanted coming out at halftime.
Punt is away, and that will roll dead at about the 23-yard line.
A lot of pressure right there again put back on the Newman punter. We remember
they blocked one earlier.
Right, blocked one earlier in the first half, and again, nobody picks up that guy coming off the right edge of the punt formation for Newman, and there's almost a block back there, and Newman was lucky to get that off.
So Bonnabel will take over offensively at the 23-yard line.
Look, there's a lot of things, and we're looking at Newman up right now 37-0, but there's a lot of things in that first half and even right there in that first drive that Nelson Stewart and the Greenies are going to have to work on if they're going to improve down the road in their next 8 games, and especially when they get into their district.
Nice little run play right there for the Bruins. It'll be a first down. A little crossing action in the backfield there, and Nichols on the carry picks up 11 to the 34-yard line.
Remember, Nichols came out in the second quarter kind of gimpy a little bit. It's good to see he's back in the lineup.
Yeah, he got back in the next series, which was good to see. And then
right. And there's a good look right there. They run the jet sweep look, and they give it to the outside zone going in the opposite direction. So you get a little misdirection with good zone blocking up front, and the result is a first down for the Bonnabel Bruins. Again, there's really no adjustment down here, the number 2 and 3 receiver.
And they'll quickly go that way once again, as they've done to that second man quite a few times here this evening. Lawrence Joseph on the catch will get about, make it 8 on first down.
Bonnabel needs to wear that out until Newman decides to make an adjustment. You're 37 down, but you've got to play like it's 0-0.
Well, I remember we had this conversation a couple of years ago. You and I were doing a Rummel Jesuit game at Yeoman Stadium, and Rummel would line up with trips, and Jesuit only had 2 defensive backs out there, and they just kept throwing it until they did something different.
Right. I mean, you've got to do that. You've got to play like it's, right now with being down 37-0, you just got finished preaching in that locker room. We need 3 and out, and we're playing 0-0. So let's play this half like it's 0-0.
And look, the similar situation last week against Deschamps. Bonnabel got behind big, and they fought back and scored 16 points. It's 3rd down and 2, and even with 4 wide receivers, Newman's got 7 in the box. Now we'll get a little option look, and Nicholas is wrapped up. Nice job by the Greenie defense to close right there. That was Will Hardy, who we've seen in a kicking game, make a nice play there. Hey, you like kickers who can tackle, right?
Absolutely. Kicker slash linebacker slash kicker. Well, when he kicks off, if somebody's going to pop the thing, he's going to tackle him. I mean, isn't that a priority in looking for your kicker, making sure that they can tackle?
Well, here's one of those situations again, Wade. It's 4th down. They've got the sticks to 30. It's about it's a long yard and a half to go here. Really. They'll try to throw the screen out, and Newman is all over it and gets the stop there. They went in the direction of Joseph, like we've seen him do before, and the Greenies just smothered it right there for a loss of 1 or 2, actually.
Right, they smothered it right there, but you can see here they've got the right call. They've got 3-on-2 out there. Ball's high. That slows everything down in the timing. The ball just wasn't delivered in the right spot. Caught where you've got the jailbreak screen coming under as he's coming to the ball. Had it been delivered right, he could possibly still be running and had picked up the 4 yards for the first down. But he had to stop. Ball was high and wide, like in baseball, just a bit outside. So he had to catch the thing, right? Slow down, stop his feet. What does that do? That gives a good defense time to catch up and to convert on the ball.
So from the 41, give it away on first down to Jackson Kerner, the backup running back. It's like no gain on the play.
Jackson Kerner right there gets in there and runs that same little lead draw scheme that we saw in the first half from Newman. Really no place to go. I like that scheme. You invite that aggressive defense up the field. You take a wing back or a Y like Will Randall, wrap him around, lead him up on the linebacker. You've got all types of creases and room in there for you to run. It's a great little run scheme. Newman does it excellently.
Tried to go with the slant that time, and the flag comes in very late. But you spotted that right away, Wade. It was
right.
Yeah.
I think they got Ronald Usnaz on this one. He's defending the inside slant right there. He's wrapped up even before the ball gets there, slowing him down. and the overhand breaking ball came from the deep back umpire, or excuse me, the deep back official, from about 20 yards away, and it was the right call.
You could see that, didn't
Yeah.
they? They could see that backhand sometimes that the rest of us can't see.
The place he should have held him was with the upfield hand. just for note.
So at the 26, it's a high snap from center. They're just going to have to fall on this back at midfield, and a nice job right there by the running back. It was Jack Robert falling on that one, the sophomore, who actually plays running back and DB. They'll call it a loss of 21. So we've seen one of those bad snaps both ways tonight. Bonnabel's came on a punt. I'm sure you got a lot of 2nd and 31 calls on your play sheet, Wade, and that's what Arch Manning is looking at. Tries to run the screen. It's well defended, incomplete in the direction.
Hold on, let me check my wristband for that.
And now we had a little tangle up down the field. The Bonnabel player lost his helmet.
Well, he's going to be out for at least one play.
Yeah, but both players were down. Let's see. There's a flag down at the 29-yard line. Let's see if this is offsetting, if this is against Newman or against Bonnabel. It is a personal foul against Bonnabel, a personal foul against Newman. Those will offset.
Yeah.
And it was after the play, so it will be 3rd down.
Yeah, they're just having a little scrape down there, introducing themselves to each other.
The ball's at the 47. Newman needs to get to the 16 to make a 1st down.
Okay, again, let's check the wristband and see what we're going to call on this one. I like the screen call. I like a draw call. You want to try to get something back where you can take a shot at the sticks. You know, a good old trap play, trying to draw the defense up the field, trap them, and run right past them.
Officials talking about some things here. Play is stopped. 6:31 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Actually, near the hydration break. But the way it was explained to me on the hydration break, I've seen officials take some liberties and things like that. But one of the things, best way I've heard an official explain it is, think of it like the 2-minute warning. It's treated the same way. The only difference is that they can wind the clock. If it was a live clock, they can wind it when they resume play. Sutherland makes one man miss, tries to get to the perimeter, and he runs out of room. So he loses 2 on the play. So a good defensive series there by the Bruins, and now the Greenies are going to have to punt the football.
Well, they run the jailbait screen to Sutherland. Sutherland, of course, can make you miss in a phone booth, right? So he catches the ball, but right there they had him all cornered up and bottled up, and that's a great job by that Bruin secondary running over there, giving some great support, and a great 3-and-out right there by the Bruins again. Now, Newman put themselves in some positions with, with the snap over the head, things of that nature, but it's good that Bonnabel is having a little success defensively and is stopping this Newman offense.
Okay, we've reached the 6-minute mark. Here's our hydration break. Halfway through this 3rd quarter, your score: Newman 37, Bonnabel nothing. Stay with us. You're watching high school football from Crescent City Sports. A reminder, next week on Crescent City Sports, we've got a couple of games for you. Thursday night, it's the All-State Sugar Bowl LHSA Thursday night football game of the week from Ruston as the Bearcats play host to Airline Thursday night at 7. And then, of course, Friday night here on Crescent City Sports, a game we'll also have for you on Cox Sports Television. Brother Martin against Ponchatoula from the North Shore. A bad snap, as you see there, and Newman will give it up on downs back at the 18-yard line. So Newman gave away 54 yards in offense on 2 snaps there. This, keep in mind, Wade, this was Newman had 1st and 10 at the Bonnabel 26-yard line. 2 bad snaps later, the ball goes over to the Bruins at the Newman 18-yard line.
Well, they've got some things they got to clean up. All right, and one of the big glaring things I'm seeing right now is their punting game. They're having all types of penetration up front. Now they have the bad snap. So those are things going forward. If they want to be back in that Division III bracket again, which, I mean, they will be. It's just how deep will they go?
And on the first play, it is a touchdown for the Bruins.
They've got things they got to clean up, and that's one thing they've got to clean up right there. They didn't cover the wide receiver out there for the Bonnabel Bruins.
The freshman, Romelius Fannin, on the 18-yard catch from Torrance Bardell, and the Bruins are on the scoreboard.
Take a look at it again. There's nobody really out. Oh, there is somebody there, but what does he do? The safety doesn't get across the top. Did you see that? The safety right there, number 7, from Newman, did not get across the top. That was Scott Sterling. Scott Sterling was the safety in the halves coverage, should have gotten across the top of the vertical, and he didn't do it. The corner right there did the job, looked for the out, got underneath it, no safety coverage across the top, touchdown Bruins.
Torres on to try the point after, and it is good. So with 5:47 remaining here in the third quarter, your new score, Newman 37 and Bonnabel 7. Well, it's this is, I mean, when you're up 37-0 as a coach, I know you're looking, okay, where are my teachable situations going to come from? And things have gotten a little sloppy here over the last minute for the Greenies, be it, with a couple of bad snaps and
teachable situation.
A busted coverage on defense, and all of a sudden the Bruins get on the scoreboard.
Here's the deal. Nelson Stewart needs to rip some tail. Right? I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, these are things that shouldn't be happening. It's you're up 37-0, but you've got to still play your style of football, which is doing what you're taught the right way. I like what Bonnabel's doing. Bonnabel's playing like it's 0-0 on the board. They're getting stops on defense. They're being aggressive in their special teams game, and they're playing like it's a new ball game all over again. And that's a credit to Bonifans and his staff and his kids. See, Newman right there went on the field with 10. 11th guy jogged on the field late. No excuse for that.
And this kick will be fielded at the 10-yard line. Nice hit there by the Bruins. Look, they are, they're not paying attention at all to what the score is on the scoreboard right now. Like you said, Wade, this is, that was a big-time hit right there by Usanaz on Kerner, and Newman will start this at the 30-yard line.
Right. I mean, boom, nice hit right there. You see it on the replay. I mean, and that's awesome. And that's a credit to the staff from Bonnabel, getting their kids coming out after halftime, playing like it's 0-0, and taking it to the Greenies so far in this, half of the third quarter.
And before this one can get going, got a flag down. Did Bonnabel line up with 12?
Yes, they did. And
second time we've seen on the first play of a drive that Bonnabel comes out with 12.
And that was Usanev, who just made a big play on the kickoff. Shouldn't have been on the field right there. And he jogs off, realizing that he wasn't supposed to be there.
Good stop in the backfield right there. Will be a loss of 2 on the carry. And 2nd down and 7, the ball at the 33-yard line.
Nice tackle right there by James White. We've called his name a few times tonight.
Yeah, when you try to play tempo, when you get in a situation now, you want to just shorten the game a little bit and run clock. How difficult is that for teams who maybe play one way to try to shorten the game, if you will, run time
Right,
off the
right,
play clock,
right.
and just
Well, you might at this stage of the game, not really worry about that. You're going to run what you run.
Manning, nice look there. He's got Randall open, first down. That'll be a gain of about 10 to the 43-yard line.
What you might want to do, even though you're in tempo, is you eat the clock a little bit because they're with a check with me offense right now. They're lining up, they're glancing over at the sideline. They're getting a call in from Nelson Stewart. They're checking at the line of scrimmage. Then they're rechecking the boundary. So they're trying to eat up as much as they can of that 40-second clock by playing check with me. Other than that, they're running their offense, which is what they should do. And then I said the next thing at this stage of the game, they're showing some new looks that we haven't seen in the first half. They're building a resume for what's going to be taking place on film that they're going to trade for the weeks to come.
And now they're going with some tempo here. Maybe just trying to get back into their comfort zone a little bit in terms of what it is that they like to do.
Well, remember, tempo can be a lot of things. They're lining up quickly, but did you see how they stopped and they're going check with me there? So Stewart is controlling the clock with the check with me.
Sutherland on the catch on the slant, and that will be another Newman first down at the 40-yard line. It's 3 consecutive completions here on this drive for Arch Manning.
They're using a good amount of that 40-second clock with the check with me, but they're just lining up quick.
I'll slow it down a little bit here. Manning handles the high snap, gives it away to Pleasant, and he cannot make it back to the line of scrimmage. I will say this about the Bonnabel defense. They have done a nice job against the run all evening long.
Right there, that was Keyshawn James, big senior defensive lineman, and lining up the nose right there. He just destroyed the center, got off the block, and met Pleasant in the backfield for no gain.
Looks to be a flag here. Let's see what this is about as they talk about it. The dead ball personal foul against Bonnabel.
That you can't do. Here we are. We're making some headway. We're doing things right. We're getting a couple 3-and-outs. We're creating some long down and distance situations, and now we give up a cheap first down on someone giving up a personal foul.
You were going to have second and long.
Right.
And now you just got
give
first
it
and
up.
10. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, you can't do that. That's again, that's got to be taught, and I'm sure Coach Bonifons and his staff will be doing that. This weekend when they're done with this game and they're breaking down their game film and bringing their kids in and showing them the game film and showing them these situations.
So at the 26, Manning gives it away to Pleasant. Gets about 3 on first down.
Tell you what, Joshua Martin, outside linebacker, came all the way across the formation. He tailed, and I like that's great technique. He tailed the pulling tackle on the counterplay and ran down the running back Pleasant on the counterplay. Great technique right there by Josh Martin. It's what you teach defensive linemen to do. Follow the puller.
Play action on 2nd and 7. The slant to Sutherland, breaks a tackle and goes into the end zone. 3rd touchdown connection of the night between Arch Manning and Jermon Sutherland.
That ball was on the money. Once he caught that, missed tackle, nobody was catching him. Look at the burst of speed that Sutherland has after he catches this slant. Missed tackle, zap, north and south. Look how fast he gets there. That's what everybody around the country likes with this guy is his burst of speed once he gets his hands on the ball, what he can do with it. Plus, he's got some shake and bake. That just isn't taught. That's something that's
God-given.
Right, that's born. You're born with that.
Point after try from Will Hardy is true, and it is now a 44-7 game with exactly 3 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter.
Well, they would have been 2nd and what if they wouldn't have had the personal foul?
2nd and 11.
2nd and 11. So you get the personal foul. It gives them a new set of downs.
3-yard gain, and then on 2nd and 7, you get the you get the slant that hits for
right. And those are things that if a shoulda, woulda, coulda, and you just can't do that once you're getting a little momentum. And they had some momentum. So it's again, you got to put that to rest and keep playing, keep fighting. And that's what you keep teaching your kids.
Had one eye on this Brother Martin Carver game throughout the evening. Still scoreless in the fourth quarter. Brother Martin lining up for a field goal to finally get on the scoreboard. And they do. It's 3-0 Crusaders with a little over 9 minutes left in that one at Tad Gormley. From the 2, and this will be Bonnabel's best field position of the night, coming off the kickoff unit out to about the 22-yard line.
Great coverage all night by the Newman kickoff unit, whether they were kicking it in a pooch situation or a sky kick or just kicking it deep. They've done a great job covering their kicks all night.
We have a moment we can check on some of those other scores from around the area on our All-State Sugar Bowl scoreboard from CrescentCitySports.com. Third quarter, St. Charles Catholic now leading Lutcher 23-14. Pass thrown far side and complete. That was to Chris Toller. Gain of about 4 on the play.
Great execution with the little bubble wide screen right there, backing the number 3 receiver out and throwing a little bubble route, blocking with the first 2 receivers, and creating some room for Toller to be able to get into positive position on the play.
Now he'll roll and throw incomplete, trying to find Toller once again. It's like a couple of receiver and defender may have gotten their feet tangled up there, but it'll be third down. Bell Chase now leading Shaw 20-14 fourth quarter.
It's interesting to hear about a night football game on the Shaw Eagle campus in Joe Zimmerman Stadium.
No doubt.
Isn't that awesome? It's like the Cubs playing night baseball.
Yep. Right down the middle and caught. That was a heck of a throw there by Bardell, and that was Fannin on the catch.
Great execution.
Check that. It might have been Joseph 5. No, it's 5 Joseph, not 6 Fannin.
Right.
Those narrow numbers sometimes hard to pick up, and the ball will be put down at the 46-yard line.
Great protection right there. You saw it on the replay. They ran 2 verticals right down the seams on the hashes, and the ball was delivered on time. He does a great job throwing the vertical routes, and it was hit right on time at about 14 yards. That's the way you throw it. That was great execution by the Bruins.
So from the 46, far side caught. That was Fannin, and a first down at the Newman 41-yard line.
Bardell has got a cannon. I mean, he's really got some skills, and right there he hangs in there, and he looks to his left, and I guess that's looking at his first 2 progressions, and he comes back all the way over to the right after about going through 3 reads and drills the ball to the receiver on the boundary.
And he's got enough to move around in the pocket. Tried to come back this way in the direction of Keon Bardell, incomplete.
Overthrows him, just a little bit too much touch on that one. Put a little too much air under it. Now this Bonnabel offensive line is doing a nice job protecting him on this series. Miguel Caleo and Taylor Tate, and Robert Bartosay, I think I pronounced that right, Christian Parker, Greg Young. These guys are doing a great job protecting him.
So on 2nd and 10, they will give it away this time. That was Ronald Usanaz, who we've seen play on defense as well this evening. Gets a shot here at
Who's
carry. He was listed. He's listed on the roster as a running back, but we've seen him some at defense.
Yeah, he's kind of a slash running back DB. He hits the hole right there on an ISO play. They wrap the guard around and gets a block on the linebacker and does a nice job right there. Any way you look at it, any way you dice it, when you're blocking the linebacker like that with a lead block, it's an isolation block.
3rd and 7 ball at the 38, and that is in and out of the hands of Williams, and in there defensively for Newman. Jeff Amos, the junior defensive back, had a hand in there, nearly popped it up. Thought he might have a chance for an interception.
Seeing a few substitutions now on the Newman defense, like Amon right there in at corner. Getting a chance to get some of the young guys some reps. You always look for those spots as coaches to do that.
On 4th and 7, they'll try to go to that middle screen right there, but it is well defended by the Greenies. Nice stop by Will Hardy, your guy there.
There you go. I like it. Here we go. You can see the underneath screen right here. You can see the 2 receiver come underneath on the jailbreak. What happened was the timing didn't work well with the offensive line. Did you see the offensive line didn't get out in front of that? You try to get your guard and your tackle out in front of that on your linebacker and your strong safety, but it just didn't quite happen, and they ran right into our kicker/linebacker or linebacker/kicker. It'd be interesting to see how he liked to be called, right? Will Hardy makes a nice tackle. Are you kicker/linebacker or are you linebacker/kicker? If I know what linebackers, they're a linebacker first.
Well, he's only listed on the roster as a linebacker, so maybe that tells you something right there.
Exactly.
So perhaps Mr. Manning's evening is done. It looks like we have a new quarterback for the Greenies. That is Chris Hunter, the sophomore. Gave it away that time to Terrence Williams.
Right there, and he's running for his life back there, and still ends up being a loss, but it's pretty athletic play.
They will not have to run a play here to reach the end of the 3rd quarter. And with 12 minutes to play here, Newman is well on their way to a 2-0 start here in this 2019 season. At the end of 3, your score, Newman 44, Bonnabel 7. Back with the 4th quarter. Right after this, you're watching high school football from Crescent City Sports. Switch ends of the field on 2nd down and 20. Good looking slant right there and nearly getting all of it back. That was Sam Milvid on the catch there from
Chris
Hunter. I believe I might have called. Did I call a wrong name there earlier? I'm not sure. Yeah. Hunter now at quarterback again. And we've got an injured Newman player down at an injured Bonnabel player at the 45-yard line at the point of where the tackle was made.
Well, now with a lot of new jerseys coming in for Newman, getting a lot of playing time for some of the younger kids, it's trying to catch those jersey numbers are real quick. But I want to point this out. Do you notice the route he throws right there? It's the same route we've been seeing Manning throw all night, correct? Same route we've been seeing Sutherland run all night, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, they're coming in and they're running what they do as their staple. This is what they do. They're going to throw that route probably 500 times at practice a day right there. They're going to run it versus press coverages. They're going to run it versus loose coverages. The wide receiver coaches are going to teach them how to take their stems, get off of press, how to stem off coverage, and the quarterbacks are going to throw that route 500 times a day. So it's a staple.
3rd down and 4. They'll swing this one out in a flat, and that is well defended by the Bruins. That was making the stop. Charles Smith, the junior cornerback, with a big hit there on Jack Robert, the sophomore running back. And Newman will have to punt this one away. Unofficial numbers on Arch Manning this evening: 16 out of 27, 211 yards and 3 touchdowns, all to Sutherland. Started it with that first play, the first offensive play from scrimmage for Newman. The punt, the return on up the middle and room to run, and out past the 40. Bruins will take over here at the 44-yard line after that nice return there by Kendrick Eugene, the senior athlete.
Yeah, he plays in the secondary as their free safety. He's their punt returner, kick returner. I bet you he's a multi-sport athlete. He's a fine athlete, 5'8", 150-pound senior.
So Bonnabel takes over at their 44. Flag in the backfield is Bardell tried to find Chris Toller off his fingertips, incomplete. This will be holding against the Bruins.
They're going to bring that 10 yards from the spot of the penalty. But I tell you what, it was a very nice ball thrown by Torrance Bardell. Hit Toller right in the hands.
I've been very impressed with Bardell this evening. We knew going in that he's going to be challenged in terms of mobility and such, but I've been very impressed with what I've seen thus far, and obviously the fact that he's got an offer from the Naval Academy tells you a lot right there.
Right, and I've got to think that he'll pick up a few more offers down the line, but that big one from the Naval Academy is huge, and.
Yeah.
And it depends on how they want him to go, whether they want him to go straight in or look into the prep side of things that they have at the academies these days.
Incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 26. Talking to Coach Bonifants before the game and leading up to tonight, one of the things that's, and you see it now, we've seen it to a certain degree with Justin Ibieta, and there's been some others like this. A lot of these offers and a lot of the recruiting process is now all revolving around camps. Go to these camps, let these coaches see you in person on campus. And I'm sure we'll talk about it a little more after the 2nd down and 26 play here, as Bardell will roll, looking not to run, but finally just gives himself up, slides for a gain of about 1.
Well,
that's got to be frustrating as a coach, as opposed to, you remember the days where you looked at film, and you evaluated off of film. Now they want to see guys in person on their campus at these camps.
Right, and I get it. I get it. You hold the camps to be able to bring the talent to you, so you're in regulation with the NCAA, so that way you can actually try them out while they're there. But the thing that's not old school anymore is recruiting by doing your due diligence anymore with film and with making the visits onto campus. Now, remind you, the NCAA has really limited when you can get out now and how many visits you can make a week onto a campus and how many approaches you can make to a recruit and see them during times of the year. But that's kind of fallen by the wayside in a lot of the ways of recruiting now. So That's the old school that you hate to see leave. Doing the due diligence from the recruiting by doing all the legwork prior and not having the kid come to your camp. But the camp is a great way to go. You know why? It's a free tryout. And you've got them there. You've got them there for 2, 3, 4 days, however long your camp is. And it's all the visits you want.
It's that, but
right
the thing
there.
is, but you're at the same time now you're limiting in some cases what these young men can do. Do they have the resources to be able to go all over the country and go to these camps? They're not free. They've got to be. They've got to charge them to participate in these camps.
And when I say charge, it can be $1.
It's
It's
got to be
a fee. Correct.
Right. It's basically whatever
right.
your
you just got
expense
to
would
get
be,
them on campus. Just got to get them on campus. And you're right, but what I always, as the camp scene started getting bigger and bigger and bigger in my last years before I retired, I sat players down and we mapped out what they could do, where they could go, or if they could go. Okay? Now let's remember, a high school coach cannot pay for a camp for a player. Okay? We all know that's been around before, right? So you can't do that. So with many kids that can't afford to get to these camps, okay, what can you do? Many high school coaches are getting sponsors out there to sponsor kids to go to camp, okay? But they're sitting down and working it out and mapping it out for these kids where they can go be seen. But you're right. The camps are the way. That's the new wave of doing things today in recruiting.
Punt is brought in at the 48-yard line and returned to midfield. That was Thomas Kerrigan, the sophomore,
and look,
on the return.
And I'm sorry. And look, let me say this. It kind of made me sound like that these guys are not doing their legwork anymore. They are.
Oh,
They're on campuses. They're taking everything that the NCAA allows them to do, and they're working it to their max. But they are limited from where they were 25 or 30 years ago about how many visits they can have, how many times they can come on campus to see a kid.
It's when it happens, and the process is so much more accelerated. It happens so much earlier. You know,
so
when you and I were, the age of these young men out here, they were, you took it all the way down to the wire generally, and most of the kids weren't committing until maybe, the week or the 2 week before signing day, and that's not the case anymore.
Right. Now you have the early signing date, and the other thing that the NCAA has taken away is where, for example, the University of Michigan coming down to Louisiana to Nichols State and putting together a combined camp together. That's no longer available, but what they can have is a camp at Ann Arbor. So if a kid is interested or has gotten letters or has had some sort of contact via phone from a coach during the time that they can contact and wants to go to Michigan, that's a high-priced plane ride.
Mm-hmm.
So the NCAA has forced a lot of hands here with the recruiting. But I still love to see the old school where those guys are on their campus, listening to the coaches, looking at the coach's film, asking the coach the questions that need to be asked about the prospect, doing the due diligence.
It's 3rd down and 15 here for Newman at their 45-yard line, and once again there's movement up front.
Well, they break the neutral zone. They're going to blow the whistle dead every time, and they're going to back the ball up 5 yards. This is about the 4th or 5th time tonight we've seen this from Bonnabel.
That's being conservative.
Really? Things they've got to work on. Those are things that just can't keep happening going forward for the Bruins. Oh, look at this. They're saying that Newman.
No, they're moving it off against Bonnabel.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. There we go. My fault. I don't know what I'm looking at. But, yes, they marked it off 5 yards against Bonnabel.
And by my count, that is 7 offsides penalties.
7 tonight.
And now we've got a Newman player, receiver, just started running his route downfield. The snap count was an issue there.
Giveth, take it away.
So it's right back where we were a moment ago, back to 3rd and 15. We've been stuck on 8:49 for a little bit here.
Well, Nelson Stewart's a little irritated. He's over there giving his signals with a lot of gusto. He's kind of irritated with that.
Play action and incomplete by Hunter. Came up a little bit short. It'll be 4th down.
Almost picked off right there. Had that been picked by the Bonnabel defender, he'd have been standing in the end zone right
he
about
had
now.
a lot of green space in front of him, and it's 4th down and 15.
That was number 16 from Bonnabel.
Charles Smith.
Charles Smith, junior, 5'10", 170-pound cornerback.
Punt away on 4th down here, end over end. And fair catch called at the 22-yard line. So Bruins will begin there with 8:37 remaining in the contest.
Do we know if did Coach Bonifant say, and you had a chance to speak with him this week, did Bardell go and visit a camp at Navy? Did he actually go?
I'm not sure. I think it was more off of film that they made the offer.
Right.
So it was
or
guys coming through here and
Correct. I do know Navy runs an outstanding camp, and it's packed every summer with kids coming from all over the nation to go to their camp. And I was just wondering if Torrance Bardell actually did get a chance to visit Annapolis, which is extremely beautiful.
One of my favorite towns in America.
Right, and got a chance, and it really maybe struck his fancy from that standpoint, getting that opportunity, and they both had a mutual agreement together from film and everything else, and the offer was made. A lot of times those offers are made at camp.
No doubt.
I remember Les Miles never offered anybody at LSU unless they came to camp. You can ask Deion Jones about that. Debo, who is a starting middle linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons.
Off a couple of sets of fingertips there, one each way, and it'll be 3rd down and 2 coming up for the Bruins from the 30-yard line.
Good look at the replay right there, right off his fingertips, almost intercepted by a Newman defender. Ball was a little high.
On the ground and with room to run past the 1st down marker, that is Usanaz once again to the 46-yard line.
Usanaz does a nice job getting up into the hole and making a cut. They had a great block that time by the left guard, Taylor Tate, who wrapped around and got up on the linebacker from Newman and created a lot of running room for Usanaz.
Final score from Slidell Rummel has defeated Slidell 37-0, as that is blown up in the backfield by a pair of Newman defenders right there.
That was number 46, Brandon McGowan, coming from his outside linebacker position.
664, John Gilliott, the sophomore defensive lineman, also in on the stop. So a nice effort there to move the Bruins behind the chains, and it's 2nd down and 13, and we've got flags for this. We can get underway.
Wide receivers can't move. They should be looking at the football.
They called offside against Newman. So
they did? Well, I'll tell you what. They also missed the receiver from Bonnabel up at the top of your screen right there, deciding to leave a little bit early.
So 2nd down and 8, ball now at the 48-yard line as we close in on the final hydration break of the evening. It's the 6-minute mark. Little pitch outside, and Usanaz's feet just came out from under him right there trying to make a cut. It'll go for a loss of 1.
They've had a little success with that tonight. Back in the first half, they ran the speed option a couple of times and picked up a first down here and there with it. They try it again, and he just gets bitten by the turf monster right there and goes down for just 1 yard gain.
So 3rd down and 9, and that is caught, and it'll be right at the sticks, or was it dropped? It hit the ground. Okay,
right.
It was not a catch.
Hit him right in the hands. Needed to make that catch.
So 4th and 9, ball at the 47-yard line. Looking ahead to next Friday night when we'll be in Ponchatoula, Wade. Ken Berthelot and you will have the call. I get the pleasure of talking in your ear all night long from the truck. And on 4th and 9, that is going to come up short of the first down. And just tried to come back to the ball there, Wade, to make the play, but he had not gotten deep enough past the sticks to be able to come back in that situation, and that's going to be a turnover on downs.
Yeah, just didn't run the sticks route, didn't get deep enough, come back to the ball, ends up being short by about 2
like
yards.
4 yards.
Yeah,
They're going to put it at the 48, yeah.
4 yards. And, again, that's something they'll cover tomorrow. You got to run the route deep enough to make sure you get the sticks.
Looking ahead, Brother Martin is leading Carver now 10-0. That's getting late in the fourth quarter. And Ponchatoula leads Denham Springs in a much lower scoring game than a year ago, 31-24. That is also in the fourth quarter. So very possible both of those teams coming in off of wins. Brother Martin has not allowed a point this year. As they try to preserve this shutout with about a minute or so left. And get a stoppage in play here. I'm not sure if there was a timeout called or if they're trying to take the hydration break early. Exactly what the case is there.
I think they're trying to take it right now. 6:13 mark on the clock.
Or perhaps it was a timeout. Let's see here. We'll find out shortly. But Brother Martin beat Byrd week 1, 28-0. A 10-0 lead here over Carver. That's 8 quarters of shutout football right there. Their defense is going to get tested to the nth degree next week with that Ponchatoula offense led by the LSU commitment at quarterback T.J. Finley.
Yes, it will.
And
is that number 8?
Another offside penalty.
It's number 8. See, I learned fast. I said 4 to 5. You said 7.
And they're winding the clock here, and this will take us indeed to, or maybe not. Let's see.
Okay.
They're sending them back to the benches. It's
right.
Apparently this is going to be the hydration break. It's
right.
coming with 5:53 to play. Your score, Newman 44, Bonnabel 7. We'll take the break. So, in a 44-7 ball game, Newman will run it off the right side, and for a first down, that will be Jack Robert, the two-way player, out to the 37-yard line.
Newman keeps the clock running by taking that outside zone stretch right there, picking up a first down on a nice gallop by Robert off of their right side.
That goes out to about the 33.
See a lot of guys shuffling in and out now for Newman. Trying to get as many players on the field. Both sides, both coaches are doing that, getting a lot of different players on and off the field to give them some game time experience.
Out close to the first down.
Newman trying to use every bit of the 40-second clock that they possibly can as the clock keeps winding. Running the ball now, trying to obviously shorten things up.
It'll be 3rd down and 1. This time the quarterback will keep it and will get the first down out to about the 22-yard line. It's a little bit different look that time. A little bit of a read option, if you will.
All right, they run the read option right there, and the young sophomore quarterback, Chris Hunter. I say young because he's older than Arch.
He's a year old. He's a year older
Right.
than the starter. So
Right, so pulls the ball, disconnects the ball, and picks up a couple yards for another Newman first down. Yeah, I had to catch myself. You know, both quarterbacks are young. Huh? You know, the question remains, we didn't see any of Bo Adams tonight as a quarterback.
no,
He's a
I think
quarterback
that's
too,
he
right.
can be. I think that's one of those situations, Wade, where first of all, this is a 37-point game.
Correct.
Secondly, if there would be an injury situation, then maybe you think about something for
Right.
you know, for the longer term and that type of thing.
Right, he's the next guy up in a injury type of situation.
There was a penalty there on the Bruins, so now it's 1st and 5 at the 17-yard line. They had 12 men on the field.
I've seen that a few times tonight too.
That carry will put it down to the 14, where it's 2nd down and 2 as the clock ticks under the 3-minute mark, down closing in on 2 minutes here in this one. Throw it out on near side, trying to get the corner, tripped up, but not before getting the first down. That's Terrence Williams, the sophomore wide receiver, a gain of 9 on the pass.
All of it off the same schemes. They showing the jet sweep coming across. They'll run the inside zone, the outside zone, and this time they dump it out off the fake, off the jet sweep out there to the receiver who has a lot of room to run, and he just uses his wheels to get down to the 5-yard line. Terrence Williams.
Now this is one of those situations here. Wade, Bonnabel just used their last timeout, 1:56 to play. It's 1st and goal at the 5-yard line. Your second guys practice just as much as your starters do. They're out there the same amount of time. This is one of those delicate situations. Do you take 3 knees and go home, or do you give your second unit a chance to go out there and try to score right now?
You give it to your second unit to teach them how to score, because that's what they're taught to do. They're football players. They're competitive kids. Give them the opportunity to compete. That's what they want to do. Don't kneel it on them. Now, and you know what? Every coach across the nation would understand that, because they know what you're handing the ball off to.
Well,
but it looks like they're going to need it out 3 times.
Yep, and in the gun no less, which is always interesting to me. These teams that very rarely take a snap under center.
Right. But I've always been in the favor of letting your kids that are the ones that are on the field, especially if they're not your starters, they've got to learn. They're going to take the good, the bad, the ugly, and part of the good is giving them the opportunity to score.
So they'll milk this down. There was 1:56 when the timeout was called. And that's one of the things with the new 40-second rule. you know exactly. You get you get that team out of timeouts and there's 2 minutes or less left, you can kneel it out. It's not a guessing game when the officials are going to spot the football and
Right.
Start the 25. You know exactly what you're dealing with. So as Newman kneels this out, just your thoughts on what you've seen here this evening from this Greeny team, who is obviously a very talented ball club, and I think somebody that could be a factor here in Division III this year.
Well, they will be a factor. There's no doubt about it, and Manning is the real deal as a freshman, and I can see how he won the job, okay? And he's only going to get better as he's moving forward. That's a given, okay? But the thing that I've also noticed about Newman is they've got some things they got to work on. Okay, they've got a couple of things in their punting game that they've got to work on. They've got a couple of things up front in their run game with their offensive line they've got to work on so they can become that complete football team that's going to take them deep into that Division III playoff bracket. Okay, they've got a lot of tools. They're going to be there when the time comes once they work on all those things, because I know what type of staff Nelson Stewart has and I know what type of coach he has. Now from Bonnabel, all right, they're going to go back to the drawing board. I like how they came out in the second half, played with a 0-0 on their mind, got a couple of shutdowns, a couple of 3-and-outs, then scored, all right. So they looked from the standpoint, that they play hard. Brett Bonifons and his staff are going to use this as a learning curve because they're going to have to get ready for next week, all right. Next week I believe they have Cy Academy, if I'm not mistaken, all right. And then they go into a tough Jefferson Parish district.
No doubt about it. Wade, it's been a pleasure.
Always.
Our thanks to you. Our thanks to Nick. Our thanks to Taj. Our thanks to everyone who was watching this evening. As maybe it was your first chance to look at Arch Manning. I can promise you it's not going to be the last. Your final score here this evening, Newman 44, Bonnabel 7. For everyone involved in Crescent City Sports, I'm Lenny Van Gilder. Until next week, so long, everybody.